Chapter 643. A unified situation can allow all the soul masters and people of the entire continent to live in a stable environment. Then, it is inevitable that all walks of life will develop to different degrees in the future. Without the restrictions of national boundaries, the soul masters of the two great empires can communicate and learn from each other. The soul master world will definitely be more prosperous in the future. Wang Feng glanced at everyone and looked at the master. Master, do you know why no one knows about your 10 great research theories of martial souls, although they are famous in the soul master world? You can ask the soul masters of the Douluo Empire. Do they know? Do you know why? The master was shocked and replied, because there are too few people studying it. Yes. Wang Feng nodded. Think about it. If the continent is unified and rules are set, there will be specialized talents to study it together with you and verify it. Once the two empires and the martial spirit palace are unified, there are so many people on the continent. You can always find like-minded people, right? What will the result be? It will promote the progress of the soul master world. The master said slowly. That's the truth. Wang Feng continued. Another example is Sect Master Ning, your 7-treasure glazed tile sect. After the continent is unified, you can not only absorb the elite soul masters of the empires, but also the elite soul masters of the Douluo Empire. After all, after the unification, there will be no separation. They will all be talents of the same country. Although there will be battles, this kind of battle can promote development, not a life-and-death battle. Isn't this more beneficial for the development of your sect? Ning Fengji nodded and vaguely felt that Wang Feng's words seemed to be quite reasonable. The continent will be unified and developed in a centralized way. From all aspects, it will slowly be unified. Perhaps there will be conflicts due to running in, but the final result will definitely be prosperity and development in the future. The premise is that there must be a good leader and a group of talents to assist him. Wang Feng was looking at this matter from a higher point of view. From the beginning of Wang Feng's mind, although he felt that it was ridiculous on one hand, on the other hand, he felt that it was not impossible. Because no matter from what perspective, the unification of the Douluo world was a historical inevitability. Wang Feng felt it when he traveled the continent before. According to history, the two empires and the martial spirit palace have been fighting for hundreds of years. Especially after Bibi Dan became the pope, the conflict reached its peak. Wang Feng thought about the history of his country in his previous life. Usually, at this time, there would be a unification and enter the next dynasty. It was time for the Douluo world to enter the next era. Or, even if they could crush Bibi Dan to death, it wouldn't take long for them to unify the continent. He only said that it depended on who the leader was. Of course, Wang Feng had no interest in this. He felt that if he checked in a few more places, he might have to leave. Naturally, he had no interest in becoming the ruler of this continent. Wang Feng felt that it was normal for him to say such words. Perhaps the people here had a high status. For example, Ning Fengji and Wang Feng. If one were to compare their status, White Robe Pope Tiff, one of the 5 great overlords of the land of extreme north, and the master of the 4 lower sects, should be comparable to them. In terms of foresight, Wang Feng definitely surpassed him by far. He was a transmigrator. When looking at many things, he naturally stood from a very high point of view, comparing with his previous life, and so on. At this moment, after listening to Wang Feng's words, everyone looked at Wang Feng dumbfoundedly. It was very quiet. After a while, although I don't quite understand, I feel that what the little madman said seems to be very reasonable. Zhao Wuji touched his head. Everyone, Ning Fengji looked at Wang Feng. Even with his experience, he couldn't see through this 20-year-old child. Was this really something that a 20-year-old young man could say? The rest of the people, including Yu Yuanjin, also looked at Wang Feng in the same way. His eyes flickered, and he was silent. He seemed to be calculating and analyzing Wang Feng's words. The master and several other teachers of the academy looked at Wang Feng with a shocked face. To be reasonable, these words were slightly shocking. For them, it was also an extremely strange domain. After all, Normal people would think that unifying the continent was a bad thing because one side wanted to start a war to satisfy their ambitions. But from the point of view of Wang Feng's words, unifying the continent was a great thing. It could promote the development of the world of soul masters and let more people study, verify, and announce master's theory to the world. This was a great thing. Captain is really a magical person, Dai Mubai murmured. In fact, his father, the emperor of the Star Luo Empire, had said similar words to him when he was young. But it wasn't as detailed as Wang Feng. He only said that unifying the continent was his lifelong dream, and the benefits far outweighed the disadvantages. Tang Sen also looked at Wang Feng with a shocked face. For a moment, he was silent. He could understand this. At this time, after listening to Wang Feng, he also felt that his previous thoughts were too simple. He also felt that Wang Feng's second idea was full of a dreamy feeling. I feel that it seems to make some sense. Oscar and Ma Hongjun looked at Wang Feng and then looked at each other. Wang Feng, I was wrong. Ning Rongrong looked at Wang Feng with stars in her eyes. I feel that you are right. She felt that the current Wang Feng was very charming. On the other side, Zhu Zhuqing also felt the same. She was silent, but her eyes were full of splendor. At this moment, everyone was the same. At first, they felt that Wang Feng's second idea was a bit ridiculous, but now it seemed to make some sense. Of course, it's not that simple to unify the continent. Wang Feng coughed a few times. But I provide a way. We could do it step by step, but the main goal is to go in this direction. Simply speaking, this was a general direction that couldn't be changed. Everything had to go in this direction. Instead of focusing on dealing with the Martial Spirit Palace, they had set their sights on the Martial Spirit Palace. Little lunatic, if I didn't know you well. I even doubted whether you really have such ambition. Dugabo laughed. Unify the continent, you said that. According to what you said, aren't we the same as the Martial Spirit Hall? Aren't we the same as the BB Dawn? There's a difference. Tang Sen shook his head and said, Brother Feng said that if we want to do what he said, we need a wise leader and a group of supporting talents. BB Dawn is purely ambitious. She is evil by nature. In order to achieve her goal, she will do anything, including killing the two sects directly. She is not a wise leader. If we let her unify the continent, the final result will be needless to say. BB Dawn is a ruthless person, but she is not a wise leader. Tang Sen looked at everyone. He wanted to see what they thought. P.S. 9 chapters. Please count votes. Chapter 644. In fact, what Wang Feng said wasn't just to deal with BB Dawn. He wasn't interested in unifying the continent. He just wanted to give the people of this Douluo world a way of thinking. Unifying the continent was too complicated and involved many aspects. Little 3 said that because he had a grudge with BB Dawn. In fact, any unification was completed through countless mountains of corpses and seas of blood. It would not be easy to make the two opposing empires submit to him. Wang Feng was naturally clear about this. He felt that he wasn't cut out for that. Cultivating peacefully and becoming stronger was the most important thing. However, the people present were all at the pinnacle of the continent. Whether it was Ning Fengji, Yu Yuanjin, or the crown prince of an empire like Dai Mubai, they were all existences that could change the direction of the continent. As long as they were given such a way of thinking, the future Douluo world might really change and complete the unification earlier. This was the purpose of Wang Feng's words. He just said this in the name of dealing with BB Dawn. There was also a deeper thought. It was equivalent to planting a seed in their hearts. Whether it could really grow and germinate would depend on the future. But it had to be said that the shock brought by these words was still there. What Lin Feng said is somewhat reasonable. Ning Fengji muttered, but it's still too far away and too difficult. But if there really is a peerless figure in the future who can unify the continent, I think our 7-treasure glazed tile sect won't refuse. The premise is that we can be convinced. Years of fighting is really unfavorable for development. Ning Fengji's words were actually very moderate. It seemed to agree, but in fact he said to look at the future. But who knows what the future will be like? But it was also a kind of attitude. Yu Yuanjin laughed and said, Wang Feng, Although what you said is a bit fake, it is indeed true. But unifying the continent is too complicated. If it's just a goal, I support your view. Wang Feng smiled. These two sect masters were obviously not easy to deal with. Yu Yuanjin's words meant that he supported Wang Feng's view in spirit. As for the reality, Wang Feng didn't think that with a few words he would be able to fool these two into exclaiming and being hell-bent on doing so. That was not realistic. Wang Feng thought and said, unifying the continent is too complicated and far away. How about the three upper sects unite first so that you can have the ability to protect yourselves when facing the martial spirit palace? Hearing this, Ning Fengji and Yu Yuanjin nodded. They agreed with this point very much and could even put it into action immediately. Wang Feng looked at Tang San. Tang San nodded and said slowly, the Clear Skies sect doesn't want to come out. Therefore, I want to establish a sect called the Tang sect. Sect Master Ning, presumably, also knows that I'm good at making a variety of exquisite concealed weapons. These concealed weapons can be used to deal with powerful soul masters. My Tang sect can produce these hidden weapons for the disciples of the two sects, but the prerequisite is that we need your support. Wang Feng already knew what Tang San was thinking in the past 2 days. Establishing the Tang sect. It could be said that Tang San was the first to tell Wang Feng about this idea. Of course, Wang Feng felt that there was no problem. Moreover, this was probably the dream of a mistress in this world. Men with dreams were worthy of support. Unlike him, Wang Feng's dream was very simple. It was to clock in, improve his strength, show off, and this was also the first step. In fact, if they really wanted to unify the continent, Tang San's concealed weapons were really indispensable. It was also the first step to establish a force. The reason why Wang Feng said that was to let Tang San know what to do. The Tang sect? Ning Fengji and Yu Yuanjin looked at each other with a serious look. Ning Fengji knew the power of Tang San's concealed weapons. Yu Yuanjin also knew a little about it from the disciples of the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile sect. That's right. Tang San nodded. If they wanted to unite the two sects, there must be a person whom they could trust. In other words, who would be in charge? Who would be in charge? Ning Fengji and Yu Yuanjin obviously knew what Tang San was thinking. Although you are the disciple that Xiaojiang is proud of, Yu Yuanjin said indifferently. Yu Yuanjin said faintly, but you have to establish a sect first. Your hidden weapons alone are not enough for us to support you. Ning Fengji also nodded slowly. What kind of status do the two sects have? How could they support a newly established sect? Dad, since third brother wants to establish a sect, it's okay for you to support him, Ning Rongrong persuaded. Since third brother wants to establish a sect, I'll be the first to join. Oscar stepped forward and said with certainty. Me too. Ma Hongjun imitated Ming's words and chuckled, but his eyes were very serious. Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing did not say anything. Their status was special now, so they could not agree casually. Otherwise, it would be irresponsible to the forces behind them. If they were free people, they would definitely agree immediately. Grandmaster and the other teachers were students of Shrek Academy. Now that Shrek had the support of the Heavendoe Imperial family, they could not join just like that. They still needed to think about it carefully. Third brother wants to establish a powerful sect. Ning Fengji thought for a moment and said, everything else is secondary. To put it simply, does your Tang sect have a title Dalu? Yu Yuanjin nodded. Without a title Dalu, it was useless no matter how strong you were. Look at the top forces on the continent. They did not even have a title Dalu. Why not? Tang San suddenly smiled and looked at Wang Feng. Brother Feng is the first elder of our Tang sect. He can at least be compared to a titled Dalu, right? Wang Feng coughed a few times. Yu Yuanjin and Ning Fengji did not say anything. A sole emperor over rank 60? Yu Yuanjin scratched his head. Although he indirectly saved our two sects, can he be compared to a titled Dalu? Ning Fengji thought, you don't know what happened in the Pontus Palace 5 years ago. This kid could fight 2 titled Dalu alone back then. 5 years later, he must be even stronger. However, Ning Fengji felt that the situation back then was a little exaggerated. This kid must have used some special method to be able to fight two titled Douluo alone back then. Indeed, at this moment, the sword Douluo suddenly smiled and said, "Brother Yu, this kid is indeed comparable to a titled Douluo. Perhaps even those ordinary titled Douluo are no match for him now." Yu Yuanjin was shocked to hear this. What kind of person is the sword Douluo? If that's the case, then we can consider it. Yu Yuanjin frowned slightly. The Blue Lightning Overlord sect was indebted to Wang Feng. If Wang Feng really was a titled Douluo and supported the Tang sect, he could agree. The elders of the sect would not be able to say anything. Ning Fengji's heart stirred. "Sect Master Yu, why don't you try it yourself?" In a chapter. Chapter 645. I don't think that's a good idea. Yu Yuanjin hesitated. After all, he is the benefactor of our Blue Lightning Tyrant sect. You also know that my martial soul is the Blue Lightning Tyrant sect's dragon, which is inclined towards ferocity and tyranny. What if I accidentally hurt him? Hearing this, Shrek and the others revealed strange smiles on their faces. Yu Yuanjin was at rank 96 and possessed the Blue Lightning Tyrant dragon martial soul. Among titled Douluo, there were very few who could match him. Naturally, he was very strong. He wasn't much weaker than the sword Douluo. Wang Feng glanced at Ning Fengji. Rongrong's father is really cunning. Does he want Yu Yuanjin to see my current strength? Wang Feng felt that it was a good idea for Tang San to let him be the Tang sect's backer. As the Grand Elder, his status was the same as the Grand Deacon of the Martial Spirit Hall, 1000 Daos Lu. Although his current strength couldn't compare to 1000 Daos Lu's, he was still very strong. It's fine. Ning Fengji waved his hand. I'm here. I'll treat all of you. Sect Master Yu, don't worry about it. Besides, this kid has very strong healing abilities. Don't worry about it. Wang Feng. Wang Feng muttered to himself as he looked at Yu Yuanjin. Previously, he had used the Cauldron of Heaven and Earth to make it difficult for any titled Dalu to unleash their martial soul true bodies, and their powers have been reduced by 30 to 40%. If he didn't use the Cauldron of Heaven and Earth, it wouldn't be easy for him to defeat them with only the first 4 forms of the chaotic green lotus. It couldn't be helped. The Cauldron of Heaven and Earth was too strong. Wang Feng had been able to use the power of the blood mark to fight many transcendent Dalu as White Pope Tiff. Without the Cauldron of Heaven and Earth, Wang Feng wouldn't have been able to defeat the Sword Dalu, Bone Dalu, and Yu Yuanjin. All right. Yu Yuanjin stood up from his seat and said in a loud voice, Wang Feng, if you can spar with this old man and show me your strength, my Blue Lightning Overlord sect will support the Tang sect. We'll unite the 3 sects to deal with the Martial Spirit Hall. No problem, Wang Feng said. The group walked to the square of the inner court. The renovated plaza was only suitable for high-level soul masters to spar. Because the destructive power of a high-grade soul master was much greater, they naturally needed a sturdier arena as the battlefield. We should be able to see Big Brother Feng's strength now, right? Tang Sen pondered. Last time in the Great Star Doe Forest, the battle was too strange and fast. I didn't see anything, the Great Star Doe Forest and the Phantom Douluo. It could be said that Wang Feng's victory was entirely due to the Red Lotus Hellfire. This was because his other abilities were useless against the Phantom Douluo. If he didn't have the karmic fire of the Red Lotus, Wang Feng would have been helpless against the Phantom Douluo. In the center of the square, the ground was made of sturdy black rocks mixed with special refined iron. It was suffused with layers of dark luster. Yu Yuanjin stood on one side and looked at Wang Feng, his eyes flashing. He had heard the 2 names, 9-1 Open and Wang Feng. His sects Yu Tianheng and Yu Tianxin had both been defeated by him. He had originally thought that he was just a young genius. But now, it seemed that the other party could no longer be described as a young genius. At rank 60, he was already comparable to a titled Dalu. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that this was unprecedented. However, Yu Yuanjin had no intention of going easy on him. 9 soul rings slowly lit up from Yu Yuanjin's body. The Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon that Wang Feng had seen before appeared again. The blue lightning dragon pulsed with a terrifying aura. Everyone watched with rapt attention. Yu Yuanjin was a famous titled Dalu on the continent. He was also Master's father. His strength didn't even need any introduction. Wang Fengxin did some calculations in his mind. He took a deep breath and turned his hand. A golden lotus appeared and a pitch-black soul ring appeared. Deification. Immediately, the golden lotus disappeared and a black lotus appeared. It was still a black 10,000-year soul ring. Thorn lotus. Finally, the black lotus transformed into the soul-slaying spear. With the spear in his hand, a faint black wave spread out from Wang Feng's body. A scarlet 100,000-year soul ring appeared around the soul-slaying spear. Soul-devouring blood wings. After adding the status, the soul ring slowly disappeared. Everyone was stunned. 100,000-year soul ring. Master couldn't help but gasp. Little Feng also has a 100,000-year soul ring. Several teachers were really shocked. Tang Sen had a 100,000-year soul ring because of Xiao Wu's sacrifice. Otherwise, how could he absorb a 100,000-year soul ring at that level? And in Master's impression, Wang Feng's fourth soul ring was only 60,000 year. When did it become a 100,000-year soul ring? In the past 5 years, it seems that Little Feng also had some cultivation and opportunities. Master murmured. Master had discovered the increase in the age of Wang Feng's soul ring long ago. At first, his first soul ring was only 1,000 year, but it had already become 10,000-year soul ring. Master was sure that soul rings generally couldn't be upgraded, but it wasn't absolute. Good boy. I haven't seen him for 5 years, and he even has a 100,000-year soul ring? Could this be the result of evolution? 5 years ago, his spear added a 10,000-year soul ring. Ning Fengji clapped his hands. I knew this boy would change in the past 5 years. I don't know how he escaped from the Pontiff's palace back then. For Ning Fengji and the others, this was the first time they saw Wang Feng appear. Even for Tang San and the others, they were surprised to see him in the great Star Dough forest. But at this moment, no one was in the mood to talk, and their eyes were focused on the square. Especially Tang San. He couldn't help but think of the scene in the Blue Lightning Tyrant sect when white-clothed Popetiff fought Yu Yuanjin. At that time, Yu Yuanjin didn't use his martial soul true body. Instead, he used a six-ringed fusion skill to fight white-clothed Popetiff. In the end, he was defeated. But now, Wang Feng, who was in full condition, exuded a monstrous aura. The soul-slaying spear had a 100,000-year soul ring, which was added by the system. It should have given birth to a second soul skill, but it didn't seem to have been born. Instead, it doubled the enhancement of the soul-devouring blood wings. This made Wang Feng's current enhancement completely exceed the enhancement of the blood patterns. In addition, he had obtained a new 100,000-year soul ring. Although Wang Feng didn't use it, the enhancement brought by the 100,000-year soul ring was still there. In other words, his current increase in strength was even greater than that of the white-clothed Pope back then. But if he didn't use the cauldron of heaven and earth, it meant that he wasn't much stronger in front of Yu Yuanjin. Let's end this quickly. Wang Feng's eyes focused, and he entered the empty realm state for a long time. But now, Wang Feng felt a little different when he entered the empty realm state, because Wang Feng's current spiritual power was far stronger than before. Not only did it condense into a physical body, but it also formed a stream of water, and its level was much higher. In addition, Wang Feng cultivated the front secret word, so the empty realm state had a special battle state that Wang Feng couldn't imagine. End of chapter. Chapter 646. At this moment, Yu Yuanjin had already used his 7th soul skill, Martial Soul True Body. Clearly, Yu Yuanjin had also sensed Wang Feng's aura, but he had no intention of testing it out. This was also Wang Feng's first time seeing the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon's true body. Yu Yuanjin disappeared from the spot, and the lightning-flashing blue dragon transformed into a lightning dragon that was at least 60 meters long. Several soul rings on its body flickered. In the sky, Yu Yuanjin's appearance could be seen from the dragon's head, but at this time, he had merged with the blue thunder dragon. Everyone couldn't help but gasp when they saw this. Wang Feng was also stunned. It was too long, too big. This thing looked just like the deified dragons in his previous life. It really did have that kind of meaning. This is the blue lightning tyrant dragon's martial soul, true body. Wang Feng murmured. Wang Feng naturally knew the power of a martial soul, true body. Wang Feng still remembered Tang Hao's hammer strike from the Pontiff. 100-meter hammer. Yu Yuanjin had transformed into a true blue lightning tyrant dragon that was dozens of meters long, and its power was suffocating. Yu Yuanjin's martial soul, true body flickered with lightning as it soared into the sky, causing the clouds to surge. Roar! A loud dragon roar suddenly came from the dragon's mouth. Everyone subconsciously covered their ears, and they felt their hearts tremble. The soul power in their bodies trembled rapidly, and even the spectators were affected. At the same time, a bluish-purple light shone from the dragon's body and covered the entire square. It's the lightning domain. The sword Douluo frowned slightly. This is the old dragon's 9th soul skill, and it can only be used in his martial soul true body state. There are different types of domains. One was an innate talent domain that could be used by releasing one's martial soul, not a soul skill. For example, the sword Douluo's 7 kills domain and Tang San's blue-silver domain. The other type was the 9th soul skill, which could be used to create a soul skill domain. In the lightning domain, all of his soul skills will be strengthened by 30%, the sword Douluo continued. At the same time, the power of his opponent's soul skills will be weakened by 30%, and his soul power will be easily attracted by the power of lightning. His entire body will also enter a state of paralysis. It's an extremely powerful, offensive domain. Even though it wasn't an innate domain, it was still stronger than an innate domain as his 9th soul skill. Wang Feng was weakened by this domain, but he only felt a slight ripple in his soul force, and nothing serious happened. However, the amplification effect of his soul skill had indeed weakened. What a powerful domain! Wang Fengxin thought that Yu Yuanjin's true strength was indeed very strong. As soon as his martial soul, true body appeared, his combat prowess increased exponentially. From this, one could see how powerful the divine cosmos light was. If he were to use the divine light of heaven and earth, the 60-meter-long dragon would immediately turn into a small worm, and its strength would be greatly reduced. Wang Feng was a little excited to spar with a transcendent Douluo who had truly unleashed their martial soul true bodies. The blood wings on his back flapped slightly. Wang Feng turned into a beam of black bloodlight. The soul-killing spear in his hand was spinning. Without any fancy moves, he stabbed at Yu Yuanjin. He had practiced the spear technique for a long time in the land of the extreme north. Even the most ordinary move contained great power. Under the Void Realm, even Yu Yuanjin's movements were slow in Wang Feng's eyes. If not for the influence of the Thunder Realm, Wang Feng's speed would have been even faster. However, as soon as Wang Feng moved, Yu Yuanjin's 4th soul ring flashed. Yu Yuanjin's 4th soul ring suddenly flashed. Bolts of bluish-purple lightning suddenly appeared around Yu Yuanjin's enormous blue dragon. They formed rings of lightning that revolved around his body and formed a special aura. 5th soul skill, countercurrent lightning ring. Even with Wang Feng's speed, the moment he got close to Yu Yuanjin, his speed was reduced by a few notches. His entire body stopped. However, this spear still landed on the bluish-purple lightning dragon. There was an explosion of energy, and several purple dragon scales were sent flying. On the dragon head. Yu Yuanjin was slightly startled. The countercurrent lightning ring could circle around his body. Any enemy who attacked him would have their speed reduced by more than 80%. They would also be attacked by the countercurrent lightning ring. Under the influence of the Thunder Realm, any enemy who was faster than him, even an agility-type tidal daw, would find it very difficult to pass through his countercurrent lightning ring. It would be even more difficult for them to attack him. He didn't expect Wang Feng to be able to attack him easily after pausing for a moment. The golden lightning on his body can negate most of my lightning rings. Yuanjin immediately judged. This kid is too fast. He's over rank 60. The soul skills he used just now were all amplification soul skills, but he shouldn't be this fast. Just how powerful is his body speed? Although he thought highly of Wang Feng, Yuanjin felt that he had underestimated his opponent's strength. In this wound, Yuanjin felt an intense pain in his mind. It came from the wound Wang Feng had pierced. It was important to note that his blue lightning tyrant dragon martial soul contained a portion of the lightning power in his body. It had a strong stimulating effect on his body. Most injuries couldn't cause him intense pain and wouldn't affect his performance in battle. But now, he felt a pain that seemed to come from the depths of his soul. Yuanjin was shocked. His huge dragon body suddenly released a violent lightning aura that blasted Wang Feng dozens of meters away. Then, Yuanjin's body flashed with lightning, and he flew into the sky. In his martial soul true body form, his flying ability was very strong. He was also very agile in midair. The number one beast martial soul on the continent naturally had its own uniqueness. Wang Feng already knew that a beast martial soul of this level didn't have any weaknesses. He turned into a streak of blood-red light and charged towards Yuanjin. Boom! At this moment, Yuanjin whipped his pillar-like tail towards Wang Feng. The speed and strength of this tail were very tricky. At the same time, Yuanjin's first and second soul rings lit up. Clearly, it was a special burst of power that had been added to the tail. The form of the martial soul true body and soul master's soul skills were more or less different. Wang Feng's heart skipped a beat. Almost at the same moment Yuanjin made his move, he suddenly felt a premonition of danger. Subconsciously, Wang Feng's body naturally laid down and balanced himself in the air. That huge thunder dragon tail flashed past his face, and the sizzling thunder was directly weakened by the golden lightning around his body. However, that majestic force made Wang Feng feel a burst of shock. A title Douluo's martial soul true body wasn't just for show. The strength of this move was probably enough to destroy a 70 or 80-meter tall mountain. End of chapter. Chapter 647. The cultivation of the front secret character really seems to be able to give me some warning of danger in battle. Combined with the Void Realm, it's perfect. Wang Feng wouldn't have been able to sense the front secret art's warning in a normal battle. However, after entering the Void Realm, his senses were 10 times stronger, and the front secret art's warning was fully displayed. Wang Feng didn't hesitate as he watched the dragon tail sweep past him. He turned his soul-slaying spear and stabbed the dragon tail to inflict a huge wound. Wang Feng dodged the dragon tail by a hair's breadth. The soul-slaying spear followed the dragon tail and left a long crack. Yuanjin's expression changed. He didn't expect his opponent to be able to dodge at such a crucial moment. In his mind, his opponent should have blocked the tail so that he could launch other attacks. He didn't dodge directly. Instead, he used his attack to inflict damage on himself. Yuanjin had a better understanding of Wang Feng's abilities. Although his abilities were greatly enhanced in the martial soul true body state, it was still very easy for his opponent to attack him because of his large size. Yuanjin was a little displeased that he had been defeated in both confrontations. This kid is very strong. It's time to show him something, Yuanjin thought to himself. Yuanjin's 8th soul ring lit up as he thought of this. When the 8th soul ring lit up, Wang Feng suddenly felt that it was difficult to lock onto his opponent. Wang Feng had to lock onto his opponent with his spiritual power before he could hit him accurately. It was the same even if his opponent was huge. 8th soul skill, Thunderous Fury. Yuanjin roared. Every scale on his body flickered and jumped. His martial soul true body suddenly shrunk to about 20 meters. It had shrunk by 3 times. However, Yuanjin's aura had become even stronger. Wang Fengxin felt a chill in his heart. He was astonished when he felt Yuanjin become stronger again. This was a very powerful and special soul skill. In the martial soul true body state, the changes were even more shocking. thunderous fury condenses the power of the martial soul, true body, and gathers it on the surface of the body. All attributes are increased by 300%. At the same time, the scales can block spiritual senses and remove any spiritual lock. It's difficult to attack him. The sword Douluo said in a slow voice, aside from his domain, this is his most powerful soul skill. In this state, any agility-type enemy who is faster than him will have a hard time attacking him. Naturally, all titled Douluo had some understanding of this. The two of them were of similar age and power, so the sword Douluo naturally knew a thing or two about them. Wang Feng felt that the current Yu engine was like a slippery catfish. Even with his powerful mind power, he couldn't lock onto him and attack him. In that case, he could only rely on his own physical fitness to attack. But now, Yu engine's strength was no weaker than his after being enhanced. And even stronger, it was impossible to attack. Moreover, within the lightning domain, not only did the power of each of Wang Feng's attacks decrease, but the energy consumption also increased tremendously. His soul skills, especially the void state, were extremely taxing on his body. However, without the emptiness realm, Wang Feng would have a hard time catching up to Yu engine, let alone attacking him. Wang Feng's every attack was dodged by Yu engine. However, Yu engine's every attack, whether it was a claw attack, a tail sweep, or a coil, could not reach Wang Feng. Suddenly, the stalemate continued. In fact, Wang Feng's abilities had already gained Yu engine's recognition. However, they had exchanged blows. As a rank 96 title Douluo, he couldn't possibly lose to a junior. Furthermore, he was a junior who was over rank 60. Therefore, Yu engine couldn't go easy on him. After another clash, Wang Feng was sent flying. If this continued, Wang Feng knew that he would be the one to lose. This was because his soul power was much lower than Yu engine's. Even if Wang Feng used his Golden Lotus to raise his soul power to rank 70, he wouldn't be able to match a rank 96 Transcendent Douluo's soul power. For someone like Yu engine, he naturally knew that his soul power would be greatly depleted if he maintained this state for a long time. Otherwise, how could Wang Feng exchange blows with him when he was only over rank 60? They didn't know that Wang Feng's special state was called the Emptiness Realm, but they could guess what it was. The stronger the state, the more terrifying the soul power required to unleash it. Right now, everyone could tell that the two of them were evenly matched. They were in a stalemate. I can't lock onto him with my spiritual power. I can't attack him. Then, how can I break this stalemate? Wang Feng's heart stirred, and he once again rushed towards Yu engine. Seeing this, Yu engine smiled. This kid is very strong. However, he's only over rank 60. He doesn't have enough soul power. However, Yu engine was a little confused. Why didn't he use his other two soul skills? His 5th and 6th soul skills? He wasn't the only one who was curious. Everyone else was also curious. Wang Feng's soul power undulations were around rank 65. Why didn't he use his other two soul skills? Could it be that there was a special reason? This question lingered in everyone's minds until they were attracted by what happened next. Wang Feng charged towards Yu engine. He swept across, but Yu engine easily dodged it. Yu engine used the momentum to sweep his tail at Wang Feng. However, Wang Feng didn't dodge this time. Instead, he used his chest to block it. Bang! He had already hidden his mysterious underworld armor to increase his strength. Therefore, it didn't reflect the attack. Furthermore, Yu engine was too big. Even if it reflected the attack, it wouldn't hurt him. Wang Feng grunted. With the help of the thorny lotus, he felt his blood tremble. However, he didn't suffer any obvious injuries. However, at this moment, countless black lights appeared from Wang Feng's body and rushed towards Yu engine's dragon tail. Seeing this, Yu engine was stunned. In the blink of an eye, the black lights formed a long chain that wrapped around Yu engine's martial soul true body. From afar, it looked like a bluish-purple dragon that was more than 20 meters long. Its body was wrapped in a web of chains. Red Heaven Sash. No, mysterious underworld spike. Wang Feng clenched his fist and shouted, "Bind it!" Suddenly, Yu engine felt as if his entire body was being restrained. Even with Yu Yuanjin's martial soul true body, he felt as if he was carrying a mountain, making it hard for him to move. Soul bone. Yu Yuanjin's expression changed. However, he didn't panic. In the next moment, Wang Feng attacked Yu Yuanjin with his spear again. This time, Yu Yuanjin couldn't dodge. He was hit. In a chapter. Chapter 648. Yu Yuanjin could have dodged the attack. Although the weight of the mysterious underworld spike greatly reduced his speed, Thunder's fury essentially made him immune to his opponent's spiritual lock. As long as his reaction was fast enough, he could have dodged the attack. Yu Yuanjin didn't sense Wang Feng's attack. It was locked on him, but he couldn't dodge it. He locked onto the soul bone with his spiritual power. Yu Yuanjin was stunned. He seemed to understand something. He used the soul bone attached to me to lock onto me and make it difficult for me to dodge. The spear pierced Yu Yuanjin's body. It caused countless scales on his body to be lifted up rapidly. Yes, Wang Feng used his spiritual power to lock on to the mysterious underworld spike, not Yu Yuanjin. It was like adding a tracker to Yu Yuanjin's body. That was why Wang Feng could attack him. He couldn't sense Yu Yuanjin with his spiritual power, but the mysterious underworld spike was his own soul bone. He could sense it clearly. Yu Yuanjin quickly fell into a disadvantageous position. This kid is smart, the sword Douluo praised. The sword Douluo praised with a smile. You were able to use such an unexpected method to break through Yu Laolong's thunderous fury. His spear is no ordinary weapon. The blue lightning tyrant dragon under Thunder's fury has amazing defense, but he still managed to break it. Of course Wang Feng is smart. Ning Rongrong giggled and looked at the sky. Her clear eyes seemed to reflect the scene of the battle between the two of them. The god-slaying spear was powerful. It couldn't ignore defense, but it could still injure Yu Yuanjin. The more damage he received, the more uncomfortable it would be. Yu Yuanjin was very uncomfortable now, but he was suppressed by a junior who wasn't injured at all. Yu Yuanjin's face turned red. He thought of what he said before, but he couldn't help but feel angry. I'm a sect leader of the Blue Lightning Tyrant sect. I barely lost to White Pope Diff last time. How can I lose to a junior again? Where will I put my face? Yu Yuanjin knew that he couldn't admit defeat so easily. If the three sects joined forces, his Blue Lightning Tyrant sect would have to bow down. With that thought in mind, Yu Yuanjin's soul rings lit up and his thunderous fury disappeared. His body suddenly became more than 60 meters long, and he instantly broke through Wang Feng's mysterious underworld spike. Wang Feng took back the Xianming spike and frowned. What was Yu Yuanjin trying to do? Lightning gathered in Yu Yuanjin's mouth and blasted a violent thunderbolt into the sky. In an instant, the thunder shook the clouds. It was as if some kind of power was being drawn out from the sky. Countless dark clouds began to rise. Lightning flashed within the dark clouds. Wang Feng was shocked when he saw this. Yu Yuanjin wanted to use his own strength to trigger the power of the heavens and earth. What a god! I learned this move after I fought against that White Pope Tiff. Yu Yuanjin shouted, 7 Rings Fusion, Thunder Dragon Roar. Wang Feng. F***CK, you can still comprehend after fighting with me? Wang Feng was speechless. Looking at this move, he could roughly tell that Yu Yuanjin was trying to copy his god of wind and thunder, borrowing the power of heaven and earth to attack. Back then, Wang Feng had used the terrain of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon to attack with the wind and thunder of heaven and earth. He didn't expect Yu Yuanjin to use this opportunity to comprehend it. Several bolts of lightning struck from the sky and landed on Yu Yuanjin's body, causing his body to explode with lightning. Countless rays of light gathered in the mouth of the lightning dragon controlled by his true body. Wang Feng's expression turned serious. A move that borrowed the power of heaven and earth was naturally very powerful. It was a 7-ringed fusion skill. Yu Yuanjin had used a 6-ringed fusion skill before because he didn't use his martial soul true body. Now that he was using his martial soul true body, it was a 7-ringed fusion skill. Ice Flame, Fury Lotus. Wang Feng's feet shook the void, and he quickly flew into the sky. At the same time, he dispersed the soul-slaying spear, and the red lotus in his hand bloomed. Yu Yuanjin couldn't interrupt this move. If he forced it, he would be struck by the lightning from the dark clouds. Therefore, he didn't have to force it. Instead, he used his second soul skill to take the attack head-on. With his current cultivation, the power of his second soul skill was extremely terrifying. The icicle red lotus bloomed in his hand. In everyone's eyes, Wang Feng seemed to have turned into the size of a grain of rice. A battle between titled Dalu, especially in the sky, was naturally very shocking. Boom! Yu Yuanjin let out a violent roar. The roar shook the clouds, and all the students of the Shrek Academy couldn't help but look into the sky. The momentum was too shocking. The terrifying lightning in the dragon's mouth formed a huge purple ball of light that blasted toward Wang Feng. At this moment, the Ice Flame Fury Lotus in Wang Feng's hand was also ready. Suddenly, Wang Fengxi moved. His leg bone flashed slightly, and a crystal-clear core that resembled a star appeared in the sky. Wang Feng threw the red lotus in his hand toward the core. Almost instantly, the core that emitted white light fused with the entire red lotus. The leg bone's second soul skill, Star Core. It increased the power of soul skills by 100%. After fusing with the core, the red lotus shone brightly and emitted a terrifying aura. Every lotus petal exuded destructive power. Boom! The moment the two collided, a mushroom cloud rose directly from the sky. Endless waves of air swept through the clouds, and it seemed to change the color of heaven and earth. Fortunately, they were in the sky. Otherwise, half of the Shrek Academy wouldn't have been able to survive this move alone. The countless trees and plants below were all swaying and sucking white from the pressure of the air. Scorching hot and ice-cold air blew at the spectators below, being blown by such enormous air currents, as well as feeling slightly numb, caused them to subconsciously circulate their soul force in order to defend themselves. Looking at the flickering clouds and the purple lightning in the sky, it seemed like the end of the world. After a long time, it slowly dissipated. At the same time, two figures descended from the sky. The first to land was Wang Feng. He stumbled back 2 steps and barely managed to stabilize himself. His soul power was almost exhausted, but he still had energy left. On the other side, Yu Yuanjin was more miserable. His body was covered in snowflakes formed by various ice fragments, and his clothes were burned. His hair was upside down, and he looked like the burying love family that Wang Feng had seen in his previous life. There were many black wounds on his body, and he exuded a fierce aura. Everyone fell silent. The winner had been decided. Seeing this, Ning Fengji quickly used the 7 treasures glazed pagoda, and several rays of light fell on Yu Yuanjin. Yu Yuanjin's form recovered a little, but the wounds on his body couldn't be healed. What's going on? Ning Fengji was shocked. His 7 treasures glazed pagoda also had a good healing ability. How could it be useless? Let me do it. Wang Feng coughed a few times, and his voice was still clear. The golden lotus in his hand spun, and a golden light fell on Yu Yuanjin. The wounds caused by the god-slaying spear quickly recovered. Seeing this, Ning Fengji's eyes flashed. This battle could be said to be very exciting. It also let him truly see the strength of the man his daughter loved. Compared to that day in the Pontiff's palace, he saw it more clearly. From the beginning, when Wang Feng revealed his 100,000-year soul ring to the later part of the battle, he gave Ning Fengji a great shock, especially at the end. P.S. There are 4 more updates. End of this chapter. Chapter 649. This battle also made Wang Feng feel a little emotional. The combination of the front secret art and the spatial realm allowed him to predict his opponent's moves. Although he couldn't predict his opponent's moves, he was close. As a result, Wang Feng was able to evade the titled Daluo's attacks, especially those that were very tricky to deal with. The transformation of his martial soul true body also gave Wang Feng a deeper understanding of the power of a titled Daluo. Unlike the Phantom Daluo, The blue lightning tyrant dragon true body this time made Wang Feng look forward to his martial soul true body even more. After all, the phantom Douluo's martial soul true body was too strange. It could be said that it was completely countered by the karmic fire. In terms of true power, a top-tier martial soul true body, like the blue lightning tyrant dragon, was more powerful. "Father, how are you?" Grandmaster Gu asked as he and Lu Erlong walked over. Yu Yuanjin waved a hand. "I'm fine. I accept my loss wholeheartedly." Tang Weilin is a man of his word. "I, the blue lightning tyrant dragon, will support the Tang sect." A smile appeared on Tang San's face upon hearing this. With Brother Feng as his backer, he indeed had a chance to gain the support of these two sects. "This child is very impressive." Yu Yuanjin looked at Wang Feng and praised. "With his talent and age, I really don't know how strong he'll be when he becomes a titled Dalu." In the last attack, Wang Feng's Ice Flame Fury Lotus was actually not as powerful as Yu Yuanjin's 7-ring fusion skill that borrowed the power of heaven and earth. The one who was injured should be Wang Feng. Fortunately, the star core in his leg bone could increase the power of the attack by 100%, so he was able to gain the upper hand. Elder Yu's injury is a little special. Wang Feng glanced at Ning Fengji and explained, "I can only use my golden lotus to completely heal him. Apart from that, I can only seal his injury. It can't completely heal him." Ning Fengji nodded slightly and said, 5 years ago, you injured the two titled Douluos. Their powers have been greatly reduced because of this. No wonder. Wang Feng was actually quite interested in how Yu Yuanjin was able to use the power of heaven and earth to attack through his heaven and earth wind and lightning. He didn't think that his tour of the continent would cause so many changes. "What do you think, Uncle Ning?" Ma Hongjun looked at Ning Fengji and asked with a smile, "Now that even Elder Yu supports our Tang sect, what about Uncle Ning and the rest of you? They should also support it, right? Look at Rong." Speaking up to here, Ma Hongjun paused and chuckled without saying anything. "You want the 7-treasure glazed tile sect to support the Tang sect? No problem." Ning Fengji also laughed. "It's very simple. I'll give you 2 choices. 1, you have to defeat both Uncle Jian and Uncle Gu at the same time. Secondly, you just need to settle the matter with Rong. How is it? Isn't it easy to choose? Which one do you choose?" After that, everyone fell silent. "Dad, what are you talking about?" Ning Rong blushed and said angrily, "How can you link me to this matter? This has nothing to do with me." "I don't agree." Wang Feng. Ning Fengji had simply given him a death sentence. Defeat Sword Fighter O and the Bone Douluo at the same time? It would only be possible if Wang Feng went all out. Otherwise, it would have been impossible with the strength he had just displayed. The Sword Douluo and the Bone Douluo were extraordinarily powerful when they joined forces. What was there to play with? Ning Fengji obviously wanted him to choose the second option. Simply put, the first option was Hell Mode, while the second option was Easy Mode. Since he wanted to show off, "I choose the first option." Wang Feng said righteously, "Uncle Ning, what Rong said is right. How can you link these two things together? What do you take Rong for? Are you using her as a bargaining chip?" "I, Wang Feng, am not such a person. I firmly disagree." Everyone, however, when Ning Rong heard this, she opened her mouth and wanted to tell Wang Feng why didn't he choose the second option. But when she heard the latter part, she was a little touched. Ning Fengji's face also stiffened. He originally thought that he could use this matter to tie Wang Feng to his daughter. He didn't expect this kid's eloquence to be so good. Ning Fengji looked at this kid in annoyance and thought to himself, this kid is quite ambitious. He probably wants to hug her left and right. Ning Fengji looked at his daughter, who was already bewitched, and sighed in his heart. Forget it. Let them be. This kid is good to Rong. I don't think you can find another man who is as good to Rong as him. With his experience, he could naturally tell that the girl who had been silent and only had eyes for Wang Feng was like Rong. She had placed her heart on this kid. This made Ning Fengji sigh. It was a waste of youth if one wasn't romantic. Then you should rest well for a few days. The Sword Dalu smiled faintly and said, Old bone, and I won't go easy on you. You didn't want to take the easy way out, but you want to take the easy way out. The bone Douluo next to him also laughed with a hoarse voice. Tang Sin thought to himself, Brother Feng probably wants to use his strength to make the 7-treasure glazed tile sect support the Tang sect, right? Otherwise, relying on his relationship with Ning Rongrong to make Ning Fengji support him is unbearable for a man. He's just living off a woman. Wang Feng actually wanted to live off a woman, but he didn't want to be the first one because he wasn't confident that he could defeat the sword Douluo with his current strength. But after thinking about it, he felt a faint gaze staring at him. After the battle, the group discussed the details. Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing would definitely support the Tang sect. Furthermore, Dai Mubai wasn't interested in the throne. However, the two of them still needed to go back and explain things before they could solve the problem. Therefore, they decided to go back to the Star Luo Empire first. As for the masters and the other teachers, because they were still in the Shrek Academy, they wouldn't join for the time being. However, nurturing their disciples was also a way to deal with the martial spirit hall. As long as they had the intention, it would be fine. Although Ning Fengji didn't fully support the Tang sect, because of Ning Rongrong, he already had the same thought in his heart. After the discussion, Yu Yuanjin and Ning Fengji left first. Little madman, I actually came here today for something else, Douluo suddenly said. After Shuechinga found out that you were still here, he wanted to pay a visit and asked me to scout ahead. You should be mentally prepared. I've already repaid the favor to the imperial family, so I wanted to tell you that if the Tang sect can obtain the support of the imperial family, it will be greatly beneficial. Also, little monster, I know that you want to invite me to join the Tang sect. Douluo smiled and looked at Tang San. Actually, I don't have much to say. Anything is fine. Furthermore, my daughter is already engaged to Yu Qianheng. Yu Yuanjin and I are from the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, so we can be considered to have some feelings for each other. Since the Blue Lightning Overlord sect supports you, I naturally have nothing to say. Hearing this, Tang San was stunned at first, but then a smile appeared on his face. Dugu Yan's poison was cured long ago. Yu Qianheng and Dugu Yan had always been a couple. He didn't expect them to be engaged. Douluo finished speaking and left. In a chapter. Chapter 650. Tang Sin pondered for a moment and said to Wang Feng, Brother Feng, there are only a few of us in the Tang sect now. I want to rope in a few more sections. What sects? Wang Feng asked. Do you still remember Titan? Tang Sin thought for a moment and said, he was my father's former follower. His strength clan also followed the Clear Sky sect. I want to rope them in first. Wang Feng was stunned. Only then did he remember that the Clear Sky sect seemed to have several sects following them in the original work. Wang Feng could still remember the plot of the Titan very clearly. In addition to the Strength clan, there were also the Agility clan, the Defense clan, and the Destruction clan. Wang Feng remembered that Ma Hongyuan's partner in the original work was from the Agility clan. Okay, you have to do this yourself. Wang Feng said, these 4 clans are related to your father and the Clear Sky sect. You have to rope them in yourself. As the Grand Elder, I don't care about these things. Wang Feng was not interested in these 4 clans. In comparison, the 4 lower sects were each stronger than the other. Even the Medicine Spirit sect, which had the fewest members, had hundreds of soul masters, all of whom were healing-type soul masters. The strongest was the Battle Luo sect. Although it was not as strong as the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, it was not too far off. The Chi Cauldron sect was also very strong. The Elephant Armor sect, which was known to have the best defense, was also very strong. However, these 4 clans now thought that he was dead. He would find an opportunity to go and take a look. Of course, Tang Sin nodded heavily. The two of them discussed about the Tang sect for a while. With Wang Feng's previous theory, Tang Sin seemed to be quite interested in unifying the continent. However, he was not that kind of person. He just agreed with Wang Feng's words. This made Wang Feng feel gratified. By the way, Brother Feng, why didn't you use your 5th and 6th soul skills just now? Tang Sin suddenly asked at this moment. There are restrictions. Wang Feng explained. To be precise, the soul skills are not stable yet. Those two forms have not been completely revealed yet. They're more special. I may need to cultivate to a higher level before they can be revealed. At least before rank 70, I may not be able to use them. Wang Feng was talking about the 5-element flags. The remaining 2 flags would only fully appear at rank 69, and soul skills would only appear then. I see. Tang Xin nodded. Big Brother Feng's martial soul had always been special. With this kind of special situation, even the teacher couldn't do anything. After the discussion, Tang Xin left. He needed to make some preparations to find out more about the Clan of Strength. Wang Feng did not intend to accompany Tang San to do this. His mistress wanted to establish the Tang sect. If she did not even have the ability to do this, then she might as well disband it. As the first elder, Wang Feng had to deal with a title Douluo. Everything else had to be put aside. Wang Feng wasn't interested. Moreover, letting Tang San subdue these 4 clans would also increase his own prestige. Wang Feng, you didn't choose the first one because you don't want to tell Dad about me, right? After they left, Ning Rongrong stared at Wang Feng. Although what you said at the time was very nice, and I was very touched. But I'm not stupid. Ning Rongrong was indeed not stupid. She was very touched when she heard what Wang Feng said. But after thinking about it, she realized that Wang Feng did not want to establish a relationship with her. That was why he said that. Ning Rongrong stared at Wang Feng, as if waiting for his answer. Then which one do you want me to choose? Wang Feng asked. Ning Rongrong was stunned by Wang Feng's question. After thinking for a long time, she said first. The first one, because what you said is also right. I'm not the link between the two of you. Then isn't that enough? Good girl, go back. Wang Feng suddenly looked into Ning Rongrong's eyes and stroked Ning Rongrong's hair. And, okay. Ning Rongrong was shocked by Wang Feng's gaze. She blushed and left obediently. Halfway through, she realized that Wang Feng had disappeared when she turned around. Ning Rongrong. She stomped her feet and left in a huff. After leaving, Wang Feng heaved a sigh of relief. As expected, my eyes are very charming. I didn't waste my time refining them with a red lotus karmic fire. Rongrong, why are you so impatient? Wang Feng shook his head. Are you that greedy for my body? Really? Without thinking much, Wang Feng thought about what he should do with the remaining time. Qian Rinxue was going to be the next emperor of the Heavendo Empire. It seemed that it would be difficult to change the situation. This meant that the Martial Spirit Palace's power was going to expand. How could he stop it? Expose her directly? That was unlikely. Wang Feng had interacted with her before. This girl was special and very smart. It was unlikely that she would be exposed so easily. If he couldn't expose her, what could he do? Bibidon asked him to come to Heavendo City and secretly help Qian Rinxue. Could there be another meaning? Wang Feng's heart suddenly skipped a beat. He thought a possibility. Qian Rinxue was on the side of the Elder Palace and the Thousand Dao sect. Could it be that Bibidon wanted him to instigate Qian Rinxue to become a member of the Pope's palace? One had to know that Qian Rinxue hated Bibidon more than he loved her. Wang Feng knew this from the original novel because these two characters were very popular. Although Wang Feng didn't read the later parts of the story, he was quite interested in these two characters. So he looked up their encyclopedias and found out that there was such an unbearable past. Could it be that she wanted me to kidnap her daughter and then completely obey her? Wang Fengxin couldn't help but think. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. Even if Qian Rinxue controlled the Heavendo Empire, he would definitely not listen to Bibidon. If the Thousand Dao sect asked Qian Rinxue to do something else, Qian Rinxue would definitely follow the Thousand Dao sect. And Bibidon was very afraid of the Thousand Dao sect. Thinking of this, Wang Feng finally came to a realization. Bibidon's real purpose of sending him to the Heavendo Empire to assist Qian Rinxue was actually this. This Bibidon is really scheming against her own daughter. Wang Feng couldn't help but shake his head. No wonder Qian Rinxue was sent as a spy at such a young age. How pitiful. Wang Feng also thought of something else. Xue Qinghe knew that Wang Feng knew her identity, because when the Thousand Dao sect was chasing him, she appeared in female clothes and saved him once. and she said in front of him that she wanted to repay him for saving her life. That would obviously expose her identity. Although she deliberately appeared with her distorted face, it was still easy for him to think of this. Qian Renxue had also seen through his identity as Feng Yuxiu in the Great Stardow Forest. Thinking of this, Wang Feng frowned slightly. A few days later, as expected, Xue Qinghe came to visit with great sincerity. After not seeing him for some time, Xue Qinghe was still graceful and extraordinarily handsome. Beside her was Serene. End of chapter. Chapter 651. Over the past 5 years, Serene had grown from rank 40 to rank 60. She was over 30 years old now. Wang Feng calculated. Qian Renxue was almost 30 years old. However, her disguise was very good. Even Wang Feng's senses did not detect it. No wonder those titled Dalu did not notice it. It should be a soul bone skill. It's not an ordinary soul bone. Wang Fengxin thought to himself. The two of them were in a forest in the Shrek Academy. Serene, you can leave now. Qian Renxue waved his hand and said plainly. Serene was slightly stunned. She looked at the two of them and nodded slightly. She guarded the path in the forest to prevent others from coming. After that, Qian Renxue raised a faint soul power barrier and enveloped the two of them to prevent others from eavesdropping. Wang Feng, long time no see. Qian Renxue did not smile much. He was not like this outside. As the crown prince, Xue Qinghe had to maintain a gentle and elegant appearance at all times. He always had a smile on his face. Why didn't you tell them my identity? Qian Renxue's tone was slightly arrogant. You said that I was from a martial spirit hall. You said that the crown prince of the Heaven Do Empire was from the martial spirit hall. You should know my secret, right? 5 years ago, I thought you were really dead. Would anyone believe me if I told them? Wang Feng smiled and said, on the other hand, wouldn't I expose myself if I told them? Although Wang Feng already knew Qian Renxue's identity, who would believe him if he told them? Even he could not sense Qian Renxue's disguise. Even a titled Douluo could not sense it. As long as she did not give herself away, if Wang Feng directly said that Xue Qinghe was Qian Renxue in disguise, he would probably be caught by the martial spear hall on the spot. At that time, the fact that she was not dead would be exposed. Hearing this, Qian Renxue's face curved into a half-smile. Indeed, if you were exposed, I would know that you were alive immediately. If she knew that you were still alive, you wouldn't have been able to ruin her plan. The she that Qian Renxue mentioned was, of course, BB Dawn. That's why you've been hiding and giving the martial spirit palace a fatal blow, ruining 2 operations in a row. Qian Renxue sneered. Wang Feng, I don't know if I should call you Feng Yuxiu or Jiui Kai. You can call me Slayer Lord, Wang Feng said. Qian Renxue was stunned. It was as if he had returned to 5 years ago when he was being hunted down by his grandfather. When he caught up, he also said the same thing. The sounds entered his ears as if they were still vivid in his mind. Qian Renxue sneered. Wang Feng, I know you're very strong now, but you don't seem to be afraid of me at all. Aren't you afraid that I'll ask my grandfather to arrest you? 5 years ago, your grandfather was still able to catch me. He can't catch me now, Wang Feng said. His tone was calm, but it was filled with extreme confidence. Qian Renxue was silent. Your Highness, I have a grudge against you, Wang Feng said slowly. You must have something important to tell me, right? I won't reveal your identity. To be precise, it was useless. Qian Renxue was now trusted by everyone in the Heaven Do Empire. Even if she showed real evidence, no one would think that she was from the Martial Spirit Palace. However, Qian Renxue frowned. You have a grudge against her. As if deliberately emphasizing, Qian Renxue's tone was very heavy. Oh, could it be that you're not of one mind with your Pope? Wang Feng pretended not to know the relationship between Qian Renxue and BB Dawn. Qian Renxue was silent and said slowly, Wang Feng, I know about your matter. If I ask you to help me, would you be willing? Do you think it's possible? Wang Feng was surprised. Why not? Qian Renxue said lightly. I said, you have a grudge against her. It has nothing to do with me. Let me ask you, do you have a grudge against me? Wang Feng thought for a while and said, I don't think so. Speaking of which, I have to thank you for letting me live. That was the truth. He didn't have a grudge against Qian Rinxue. In fact, he owed him a favor. He only saved Qian Rinxue twice, and Qian Rinxue helped him twice. A favor for saving my life is just a favor for a favor. Qian Rinxue waved his hand and said casually, "So, you and I have no grudge against each other. Why can't you help me?" Wang Feng was silent. He thought to himself, although the mother and son have different personalities, they are really like the female lead of a generation. "Help you fight against the Pope?" Wang Feng said with a smile. "No." Qian Rinxue took a deep breath and said, "Help me get out of this situation." Wang Feng was stunned for a moment. "What does that mean?" "I don't want to be the crown prince anymore," Qian Rinxue said coldly. "I've been hiding the palace for almost 20 years. I've had enough. A few days ago, that white-robed Popetiff humiliated the imperial family in front of me. I thought the Snowy Night Emperor would treat me coldly. I punished myself by locking myself up so they'd treat me coldly. But I didn't expect the ministers and even the Snowy Night Emperor to be so eager to pass the throne to me." Wang Feng. For the past 20 years, Qian Rinxue's face turned cold. "I've done nothing special. I followed the plan she gave me, but there are some things I really can't stand. Those vermin from Heavendo Imperial Academy. A bunch of trash. I've had enough. I really couldn't stand it a few years ago, especially during the preliminaries. Heavendo's second team was defeated by Shrek's 7 monsters in less than 10 seconds. 4 years ago, I got rid of all those people. And those princes. Many years ago, I wanted to use this opportunity to escape. That second prince was a very smart person. I wanted to secretly reveal my identity to him. But do you know what happened? The next day, he died. And so did the third prince," Qian Rinxue said mockingly. "After that, I didn't want to reveal my identity to the other princes. That Avalanche was a decent person. I wanted to find a chance to reveal my identity to him, but after thinking about it, I didn't want to kill him. I know, she did all this. I was trapped here until my grandfather convinced me. I had no choice but to stay here for 20 years. The more Qian Rinxue said, the more Wang Feng was stunned. Wang Feng was even more confused. "Wait, you're different from the Qian Rinxue I imagined. I want a rope in Tang-san." Qian Rinxue's face revealed a trace of helplessness. "Then I'll wait for an opportunity to let him expose me. Then I'll be able to escape unscathed and not be controlled by him." In a chapter. Chapter 652. Originally, her soul-hunting mission was a very good opportunity. If he succeeded, she would be more anxious and want me to kill the Snowy Night Emperor as soon as possible to inherit the throne. This way, I can reveal some flaws and let others find out. But she failed. She chose to stay in the dark. She didn't even care about my progress in the Heavendo Empire. At this point, Qian Rinxue had a strange look on his face. "I don't know what's going on." She didn't even send a titled Douluo to me. This doesn't give anyone a chance to suspect anything. Wang Feng. A gust of wind blew over, making Wang Feng a little confused. Was this the Xue Qinghe that Dugubo had mentioned, the one with great talent and bold vision? So, everything she did was to escape from this identity? Then why didn't you go directly to the Snowy Night Emperor? Wang Feng swallowed and said, "Directly remove your disguise. Wouldn't the Snowy Night Emperor see through you?" "I'm not that stupid. If I did that, I wouldn't be able to walk out of the palace alive." Qian Rinxue snorted. "Although I didn't kill his 2 sons personally, they were both related to me. If I showed up and said that I was from the Martial Spear Hall, he would have the palace's soul masters catch me and kill me on the spot." Wang Feng nodded. "That made sense. I wanted to perform worse so that the Snowy Night Emperor would look after his son, Avalanche." Qian Rinxue frowned. "But this prince is a little afraid of death. He's afraid that he'll be better than me and be killed like his 2 brothers. So, he's been pretending to be stupid, and the Snowy Night Emperor doesn't like it." Wang Feng. Qian Rinxue could tell. "I've already performed very mediocre." Qian Rinxue shook his head, "But there's no other way. The Snowy Night Emperor has no other choice. So, he wants me to take over the throne. It should be in the next few days. After hearing Qian Rinshue's words, Wang Feng was stunned for a moment. It seemed that he had guessed wrong. This was the reason why Bibi Dan asked him to secretly help Qian Rinshue inherit the throne. This Qian Rinshue didn't want to inherit the throne at all. He only wanted to ruin his mother's plan. So, I want to ask you to help me, Qian Rinshue said, because you're the only one who knows my true identity. Wang Feng was silent for a long time. For a moment, he didn't know what to say. Logically speaking, this Qian Rinshue was very different from the original Qian Rinshue in Wang Feng's memory. In terms of personality, they were somewhat similar. They were both cold and arrogant. But her heart was completely different from her mother's. Even though he had come into contact with the young lady before, he had only felt that she was rather intelligent. However, he had never gotten to know her better. She was completely different from the other party. But after thinking about it, Wang Feng felt that there was no problem. Qian Rinshue was sent to the Heaven Do Empire's imperial palace at a young age to carry out this kind of plan for 20 years. She hated her mother and had no feelings for the martial spirit hall. If it weren't for the fact that her grandfather treated her well, Qian Rinshue would have run away a long time ago. Who could tolerate such a thing? In addition, he had changed a lot of the plot. This led to the current situation. How do you want me to help you? What benefits do I get if I help you? Wang Feng shook his head. Well, to help Qian Rinshue, who was now trusted by the Heaven Do Imperial Palace, to expose his identity. Wang Feng felt strange no matter how he thought about it, but it seemed quite interesting. Benefits? Qian Rinshue looked at Wang Feng and frowned slightly. What benefits do you want? If you want to deal with her, I won't help you. Wang Fengxin thought, I don't need you to help me deal with Bibi Dan. Besides, sorry, I know your mother better than you do. How about this? Wang Feng thought for a moment and said, I have a request. If you succeed, you have to promise me one thing. Hearing this, Qian Rinshue was stunned. He looked at Wang Feng for a long time and slowly nodded. Okay, as long as you can help me get rid of this identity. As long as I can do it, I will definitely promise you. After saying that, Qian Rinshue's eyes flashed with a strange light. Okay, Wang Feng smiled and said, Tell me, what's your plan? I'm all ears. Qian Rinshue finally showed a smile on her face. The plan is actually very simple. Qian Rinshue's tone relaxed a little. I've roped in Douluo. This poison Douluo has a relationship with Prince Xuexing. Prince Xuexing pretended to listen to me and even asked the poison Douluo to get close to me to investigate my background. I plan to poison the Snowy Night Emperor and let Douluo find out. When the Snowy Night Emperor can't take it anymore, Douluo will definitely go to Tang San. Based on my understanding of Tang San, he's also proficient in poison. How do you know? Wang Feng was surprised. 5 years ago, Douluo had a head full of green hair and a body full of poisonous gas. Even Prince Xuexing didn't want to stay by his side for long. Qian Rinshue sneered. But he's fine now. Don't you think it's strange? His martial soul is the Jade Unicorn Snake Emperor. I know this kind of martial soul. As one cultivates this kind of martial soul, the poison will become deeper and deeper. However, not only is the poison Douluo's poison cured, it's even stronger. He must have been cured. Who has the ability to do that? With his close relationship with Tang San, he dared to openly defy the Pope in the Pope's palace and stood up for Tang San. It's very likely that he was cured by Tang San or you. Also, the hidden weapons that Tang San sold from the Seven Treasures Glazed sect, I learned from my teacher, Ning Fengji, that they all contain poison. Qian Rinshue's eyes flashed. This means that Tang San is proficient in poison. He's not inferior to Douluo. Wang Feng took a deep breath. This Qian Rinshue is a little smart, and Tang San has the token I gave him, so he can enter and leave the palace easily. He's also followed by many powerful people. He can also cure Shui. When Douluo brings Tang San to the palace, I'll show him a few flaws and let him find out. Qian Rinshue said, then my identity will definitely be exposed. When I can let them know that it's all because of them, it has nothing to do with me. If you expose your identity like this, aren't you afraid that the Pope will punish you? Wang Feng suddenly asked. You care about me? Qian Renshua suddenly smiled and said indifferently, It doesn't matter. Why don't you tell the Pope after you finish the plan? You saw that her plan failed, so you want to finish it quickly. She won't have anything to say then, Wang Feng suggested. Qian Renshua was stunned and nodded slightly. By the way, you haven't told me what I'm going to do. Wang Feng thought for a while and asked. It's very simple. She didn't send a title to Douluo over because she wanted me to not expose my identity and put myself in danger. She just secretly sent some soul masters from the martial spirit palace to observe me. Qian Renshua sneered. She's really ruthless. You just need to pretend to be someone to cover my retreat. What identity? Pope Tiff in white. P.S. It's a new week. Please vote. End of chapter. Chapter 653. In the woods, Wang Feng looked at Qian Renshua and calmly told her the plan. For a moment, he stood in the wind and was confused. This was really a pair of mother and daughter. Wang Fengxin shouted in his mind. Why do they both like to play this game? Qian Renshua was completely different from what Wang Feng had imagined. Even if Wang Feng didn't know the plot later in the original work, he guessed that Tang Xin must have seen through Qian Renshua's disguise. However, he didn't expect that Qian Renshua would want to escape from her identity here and frantically try to let people see through her disguise. Wang Feng could roughly understand Qian Renshua's feelings. However, the current situation was really beyond Wang Feng's imagination. This mother and daughter pair were definitely smarter than the other when it came to intelligence. But he never expected that. Why do they both like to play this game? Wang Feng looked at Qian Renshua, calmed down, and said in surprise, White Pope Tiff? Isn't he dead? Why do you want me to pretend to be him? To be honest, Wang Feng really didn't expect that Qian Renshua would ask him to do this. Nonsense. If he's not dead, why would I ask you to pretend to be a living person? It's too easy for people to see through you, and many people haven't seen how White Pope Tiff died. Qian Renshua said calmly. Wang Feng. Wang Feng finally understood Qian Renshua's plan. I need someone close to the martial spirit palace, preferably someone who can fully represent the martial spirit palace, to cover my retreat. This way, they can be more certain that I'm from the martial spirit palace. Qian Renshua continued. Other titled law can also do, but she didn't send anyone. White Pope Tiff is a very good identity. He represented the martial spirit palace some time ago. With him covering my retreat, it can also prove that I'm from the martial spirit palace, and this identity will definitely be confirmed. Furthermore, he's a dead man. He won't appear at the same time as the other titled Douluo of the martial spirit palace, so no one will suspect him. Wang Feng nodded slightly. Qian Renshua had clearly thought this through. His train of thought was clear. It was precisely because the White Pope Tiff was dead that it was easy to impersonate him. Because there wouldn't be a second Pope Tiff in white. Wang Fengxin thought of something and said, But if you say so, is that White Pope Tiff dead or not? You are from the martial spirit palace. How would I know? Qian Renshua shook his head and said, Based on her personality, it's unlikely to be fake. I rarely return to the martial spirit palace. I don't know the details, but it's possible that she's spreading the news, but the probability of that is very low. All right, I've made myself clear. Qian Renshua said in a low voice. I plan to implement it immediately after some time. White Pope Tiff is a special person. It may be difficult for you to impersonate him. After all, this person is very strong and has special abilities. His martial soul is also quite troublesome. The only thing that was similar between the two of you was that soul bone. It was somewhat similar, but he can use his spirit to control the sword, which is comparable to the sword Dalu. You can just use it when the time comes. Just cover my retreat. You don't have to use your full strength. After saying that, Qian Renshua looked at Wang Feng. It's quite difficult for me. Wang Feng nodded. All right then, it's settled. Hearing this, Qian Renshua put on the smile of Shui Qinghe on his face again. Then wait for my news. Qian Renshua dispersed the soul power barrier, and his voice regained its friendliness. But there was a trace of fatigue in his eyes. It seems that Qian Renshua is also tired of pretending. Seeing this, Wang Feng sighed softly. But she's been pretending for 20 years, and I've only been pretending for half a year. I still can't compare. Qian Rinxue left with a look of regret. To outsiders, she was obviously pretending to recruit Wang Feng and then left after being rejected. A few days later, Tang San successfully recruited and subdued the Tribe of Strength, where the Herculean Titan was. The Tribe of Strength used to be a subsidiary sect of the Clear Sky sect, and they were also retainers of the Tang family. However, according to Tang San, the Clear Sky sect was attacked by the Martial Soul Palace and suffered a great loss, so they directly closed the sect. This caused the Clear Sky sect's subsidiary sects to decline one by one. Otherwise, with the strength of the Tribe of Strength, they would have a chance to become one of the 7 great sects. But now, they had less than 200 disciples. Because of this, the subsidiary sects of the Clear Sky sect, which were originally loyal to the Clear Sky sect, developed a great resistance and hatred towards the Clear Sky sect. Because the Tribe of Strength relied more on the Tang family, they were very supportive of Tang San. As a result, Tang San did not have to spend much effort to subdue the Herculean Titan. Of course, Tang San also temporarily used his abilities and Tang San's own thoughts about the Tang sect. Wang Feng also understood. When the Herculean Titan saw Tang San's clear sky hammer, he immediately knelt down and called him young master. He must still remember Tang Hao in his heart. Unfortunately, Tang Hao did not care about them. After his wife died, Tang Hao did not even want to care about his own son, let alone those loyal sections. After the Clear Sky sect expelled Tang Hao from the sect, they did not care about those subsidiary sections. As a result, those subsidiary sects were now like a plate of loose sand, and they still hated the Clear Sky sect. Fortunately, Tang San appeared. Hearing that, Wang Feng only shook his head gently. Uncle Hao's personality was not suitable to be a leader. The decline of the Tribe of Strength was caused by my father back then. Tang San sighed softly and said that Grandpa Titan was the one who watched my father grow up. However, my father failed them and the other 3 great single attribute sects. Now that I have established the Tang sect, I will definitely restore them to their former glory. Wang Feng laughed a few times to express his agreement. That was actually different from the 4 lower sects that Wang Feng subdued. The 4 single-element sects had been affiliated with the Clear Sky sect for many years, and their relationship was not ordinary. Even so, in the end, when the tree fell, the monkeys would scatter. The relationship deteriorated. In comparison, the 4 sects that Wang Feng subdued, especially the Medicine Spirit sect and the Qi Cauldron sect, were the most loyal. Although the time was short, in reality, they were more loyal. That was because he had swallowed the grass of 7 emotions and 6 desires and learned the Qi Cauldron control technique. Grandpa Titan and the others are very good at smithing, and they are very interested in my hidden weapons. Tang San said with a smile, "In my plan, if we want to mass-produce the Tang sect's hidden weapons in the future, we will have to rely on Grandpa Titan." Hearing that, Wang Fengxin's heart skipped a beat. He thought of the Qi Cauldron sect. The Qi Cauldron sect's strongest ability was not smithing. Instead, it was strengthening, refining various materials, and strengthening various weapons. It was the same for hidden weapons. In comparison, if the Qi Cauldron sect could have the real Qi Cauldron martial soul, they would become even more powerful. Unfortunately, the Qi Cauldron sect did not seem to have that kind of Qi Cauldron martial soul. Wang Feng felt that it was a pity. In the next few days, I should be visiting the other sects with Grandpa Titan. Tang San continued, "I plan to bring Ma Hongjun and Oscar along because some of the other sects are in the Star Luo Empire." End of chapter. Chapter 654. Wang Feng thought for a while, and thought that if Qian Rinxue were to look for him, he had to find an alibi. In 2 days, I have to go to the Soul Beast Forest in the north. When I was recuperating there, I met a few soul beasts and went through a period of recuperation and training with them. I plan to go and see them. When Tang San heard this, he was obviously very surprised. However, he didn't reject it at all. On the contrary, he was quite interested. After all, Xiao Wu was a soul beast. Tang San naturally wouldn't have any objections to this kind of thing. It seems that humans and soul masters can also establish a friendly relationship. Tang Xin couldn't help but ask, Brother Feng, what kind of soul beasts are they? There's nothing to say. Wang Feng waved his hand. They're all a bunch of weaklings, the very weak and ordinary kind. Otherwise, with my serious injuries at that time, a slightly stronger soul beast would have eaten me. Tang Xin nodded. Indeed, how could a powerful soul beast be friends with a human? A situation like Xiao Wu's was already extremely rare. The few soul beast friends that Brother Feng made shouldn't be very strong. Then you can get to know them when you have time. Tang Xin smiled. Okay, I'll bring them to you when I have the chance. Wang Feng thought that when his white cloud-bound flag was big enough to fit those little guys, he would bring them out. However, Cowardly Cohen was too big. If it was the white cloud-bound flag, who knew how much spiritual power it would consume? Now that he thought about it, he missed it a little. It had been more than 5 years. Who knew how far they had cultivated now? But with the strength of these 5 guys, it was very difficult for them to encounter any life-threatening danger in the 4 Extremes Manifestation Valley. Tang San and Wang Feng chatted for a while. At this time, Douluo suddenly came to the Shrek Academy. Little monster, the imperial family doesn't seem to be doing well. Douluo walked over with a solemn face. Seeing this, Wang Fengxin's heart moved. It seemed that Qianren Xue had acted very quickly. Imperial family? What's wrong? Tang Xin asked in surprise. Isn't it good? Is Xue Qinghe going to inherit the throne? Douluo shook his head and said, No, it's about the Snow Knight Emperor. He pondered for a moment, as if organizing his words, and then opened his mouth again. The day before yesterday, I paid a visit to the Snowy Knight Emperor and found that the originally dispirited Snowy Knight Emperor suddenly became spirited, and his voice was loud and clear. You may not know, but due to the age of the Snow Knight Emperor, coupled with the fact that he had overworked himself over the years and lost 2 sons in succession, his mental state had not been very good. Especially in the past 2 years, his mental state has been deteriorating day by day. That's why he was in a hurry to pass on his position to Xue Qinghe. But now that he's suddenly reinvigorated, I find it very strange. I sensed a little and realized that the Snow Knight Emperor was most likely poisoned. Hearing this, Wang Feng knew that Qianren Xue had taken action. This kind of poison is very rare. Douluo said in a deep voice. I have never seen it before. However, this was a poison that could consume a soul master's lifespan and temporarily increase their spiritual power. If this goes on, even though the Snowy Knight Emperor seems to be getting better and better, he might die in a short period of time. Hearing this, Tang San was startled. Old poison? What do you mean? Tang San frowned. You must know that most of the matters in the palace are managed by Xue Qinghe. It's obviously not right for his father to be in such a situation. However, he thinks that it's a good thing and that it's a blessing from the heavens. Even the Snowy Knight Emperor thinks so, causing many doctors in the palace to not dare to speak the truth. Douluo said slowly, I secretly said a few words to the Snowy Knight Emperor, and he reluctantly believed me. However, I can only suppress this poison temporarily. If an accident happens, the person who used this poison is most likely Xue Qinghe. Tang San finished his sentence. Douluo nodded. Isn't Xue Qinghe the crown prince? Wang Feng coughed a few times and asked, He's going to inherit the throne anyway. There's no need for him to do such a thing, right? Tang San nodded. That was indeed the case. You're thinking too simply. Douluo sighed. Think about it. At this sensitive time, the Snowy Knight Emperor is dead. Even if the Heavendo Empire has Xue Qinghe, it will definitely be chaotic. Old poison. You suspect that the Martial Spirit Palace is behind this. Tang San took a deep breath. That's right, Douluo said in a low voice. Furthermore, I suspect that this Xue Qinghe is related to the Martial Spirit Palace. Because of the current situation, once Xue Qinghe takes over the Heavendo Empire, the 7-treasure glazed tile sect in the Empire will be in extreme danger. The Heavendo Empire will also quickly lean towards the Martial Spirit Palace. Before we have time to prepare, I'm afraid that the martial spirit palace will cause a storm. Tang San was stunned after hearing this. It's him. His Tang sect hasn't even developed yet. If the martial spirit palace suddenly does this at this time, if the Heaven Do Empire is directly controlled by the martial spirit palace, how can they resist? I can only temporarily treat the Snowy Night Emperor and slowly observe Xue Qinghe. You have to be mentally prepared. Douluo looked at the two of them. If something goes wrong, I'm afraid we'll be in trouble. Wang Feng. It seems that the plan is going according to Qian Renchua's plan. Wang Fengxin sighed silently. But Tang San frowned and told him about the few subsidiary sects that he was going to subdue. He also told him about Wang Feng's situation. This is also quite important, Douluo said in deep thought. This side is still stable for now. I've heard of those sections. They are a force of help. Tang San naturally didn't have the mind to care about the matters of the imperial palace. His Tang sect had just started. Furthermore, Douluo's words were all conjectures. Without any evidence, he couldn't manage it. He could only rely on Douluo's research on poison to slow down the Snowy Night Emperor situation. Then that's it for now. Because this matter is more important, I can't tell you personally. Douluo sighed a few times and told him a few more secrets of the imperial family before slowly leaving. But these secrets were all related to Prince Avalanche. Wang Feng had heard about it from Qian Renxua long ago. After that, Tang San brought Ma Hongjun and Oscar to the Star Luo Empire, intending to subdue the other 3 single-attribute sects to join the Tang sect. Wang Feng naturally didn't go to the extreme north. That place was too far. If he went there, it would take more than a month. He only left the Shrek Academy. He found a place to cultivate. At the same time, he thought about whether he could use the power of the Golden Lotus to mature an immortal herb for Ning Fengji. He could also secretly get in touch with Qian Renxua. Wang Feng's current priority, whether it was soul power or spiritual power, was the most important. The speed of his soul power increasing was still acceptable. With his body, it was still acceptable. And the cultivation of his spiritual power was even more important. But the good thing was that his spiritual power was increasing faster than his soul power. Because he had a specific cultivation method, the speed was naturally much faster. He could feel an obvious increase every day. End of chapter. Chapter 655. In addition, he would definitely return to the Pope's palace after the matter with Qian Renxua was over. At that time, Bibidon would bring him into the Rakshasa secret realm to improve his strength. Bibidon had accepted the Rakshasa deity's assessment, and it had obviously been a long time. In fact, the best way to deal with Bibidon was to interrupt her assessment and make her lose the chance to become a god. In this way, no matter how ambitious Bibidon was, she could only look at the ocean and sigh. With Wang Feng's understanding of Bibidon, the source of her ambition came from the power of the deity position. Without the deity position, Wang Feng believed that all of Bibidon's plans would fall apart, even if he couldn't beat Bibidon. This should be the best way, Wang Feng muttered. It's worse than simply killing her, cutting off her deity position inheritance. However, the deity position inheritance shouldn't be broken so easily. Wang Feng still had to maximize his strength when he returned to the Pope's palace. And the main reason why he gave the immortal great herb to Ning Fengji was because of Ning Rongrong. Ning Fengji was a serious person on his side, and Wang Feng felt that with Ning Fengji's wisdom, he would definitely see that other than his daughter, there were other girls who had feelings for him. Therefore, Ning Fengji wanted to use all kinds of methods to tie him and Ning Rongrong together. In addition, Ning Fengji also knew that he had the ability to accelerate the ripening of herbs. With Wang Feng's current strength, it wouldn't take long to give Ning Fengji one. In the battle between the two Dalu, although Wang Feng wanted to show off, it was really impossible to defeat them unless he exposed some other strength. He could also use this herb to avoid this battle and let the 7 treasure glazed tile sect support the Tang sect. Just like that. About 2 months later, Tang San returned from the Star Luo Empire. In the past 2 months, Wang Feng had also been maintaining close contact with Qian Renxua. He had a very detailed understanding of the progress of Qian Renxua. He had to admit that Qianren Xue was very good at controlling the poison. She already knew about Tang San's situation, so she had been controlling the poison in the snowy Night Emperor's body, which made Douluo more suspicious. He was waiting for Tang San to come back and expose her identity. Wang Feng didn't go anywhere. Instead, he stayed in the ice-fire Yin-Yang well in the setting sun forest to nurture a beautiful silk tulip. Back then, Wang Feng had eaten one, but he had also left behind a seed. However, for such an immortal herb, just a seed alone would take an unknown amount of time to germinate and bloom. 6 years later, when Wang Feng arrived at the ice-fire Yin-Yang well, he discovered that there was also a small mound on the ground, but it hadn't even sprouted. He estimated that it would take hundreds of years to grow. At the same time, Wang Feng compared the difference between the ice-fire Yin-Yang well and the Four Extremities Nature Manifestation Valley. He discovered that in terms of energy density alone, the Four Absolutes Vientiane Valley was much stronger. Because of the four different types of energy gathered in the four danger zones, the Vientiane Valley was in a delicate state of balance. This was especially true in the center, where the energy density was extremely high. The four different types of energy converged at a single point, and cultivating there would be faster. In the past 2 months, Wang Feng's soul power rank hadn't broken through, but his spiritual power had made great progress. It had doubled from a thin stream of spiritual power to a thin stream. It was roughly as thick as the urine of a toddler, or as thick as the urine of a teenager. In fact, Wang Feng had already known that Tang San had returned. To be more precise, the major sects that Little Three had subdued had already returned. However, he had gone out again to search for materials to craft hidden weapons. The Yuji clan was tasked with rebuilding the Tang sect's mansion using the Titan clan's mansion as the basis for their plans. Wang Feng naturally knew about this. Even if he didn't know, Qianren Xue would have quickly transmitted this information to him. The Yuji clan was most adept at construction. Sometimes, Wang Feng thought that these four single-elemental sects should have been affiliated to the Clear Sky sect, and they were weakening day by day. However, they all had extraordinary abilities. Why didn't the Martial Spirit Palace think of subduing them? Or perhaps they could have just destroyed them. However, Wang Feng didn't think too much about it. The Martial Spirit Palace was a big organization, and sometimes they might not be able to take care of so many things. Bibidon had to accept the godly position inheritance and manage the huge Martial Spirit Palace at the same time. It wasn't easy, and it was impossible for them to take care of everything. Heaven Do City. Tang San looked at the Tang sect in front of him with some emotion. The Tang sect was renovating the Titan family residence, and part of the funds used for the renovations came from the Seven Treasures Glaze sect, part of it came from Tang San's inventory, part of it came from the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, and part of it came from Big Brother Feng's support. Although Ning Fengji said that the Seven Treasure Glaze Tile sect didn't support the Tang sect because Wang Feng hadn't returned yet. In fact, they had supported the Tang sect to a certain extent. After all, Tang San went to a place called Gungjin City to purchase metals. Ning Rongrong also went with him, and she could be considered to have joined the Tang sect. As a father, he couldn't just sit there and do nothing. Because it was built with the Yuji clan's residence, the renovation was done very quickly. It looked decent. If the captain comes back and sees the Tang sect, he will be very surprised, right? Ma Hongjun chuckled. It's only been 2 months, and our Tang sect has used more than 1,000 disciples. The four clans did indeed have more than 1,000 disciples. Tang San also nodded his head in satisfaction. The past 2 months have been quite smooth. Each of the four major sects had its own characteristics. Tang San felt that it took a lot of effort to recruit them. It was also thanks to the Titan clan's coordination. One must know that the four great sects were all extremely arrogant and unyielding. This was especially true for the Posey clan. Their clan leader, Yang Wudi, was ridiculously strong. Yang Wudi's soul-destroying spear had frightening, offensive strength. However, Tang San felt that his rank 83 soul power wasn't inferior to a titled Douluo's attack. In fact, it was even stronger. However, He was very arrogant and strong. How could he join the Tang sect so easily? But compared to Brother Feng's fourth form, he's still a lot weaker. Tang Xin thought to himself, fortunately, I have Xiao Wu's invincible golden body. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to do anything. The Posey clan was very knowledgeable about all kinds of herbs. They were a little special. Tang Xin recalled that he had used a delicate silk immortal to convince the arrogant Yang Wudi. Cousin, Fatty, the captain you're talking about, is he the famous 9-1 open? Didn't the Martial Soul Hall say that he was exhausted and died? Beside Ma Hongjun, a tall and beautiful girl asked in a crisp voice. End of chapter. Chapter 656. Hee hee, Qin Xiang, you don't know this, right? Ma Hongjun said proudly. How could the captain die? Don't you know the Martial Spirit Hall's nature? At that time, the Martial Spirit Hall wanted the captain to join them, but the captain refused. They wanted to capture the captain, but the captain escaped. They were flustered and exasperated, so they released this statement. The captain was seriously injured and recuperated for 5 years, but he didn't die. But I heard from Ning Rongrong that the captain was disfigured. At this point, Ma Hongjun said modestly, I reluctantly took over the captain's position as the most handsome of the Shrek's 7 monsters, and became the most handsome of the Shrek's 7 monsters. Hearing this, Oscar made a vomiting gesture. There was a girl beside Oscar. She was a head shorter than Oscar, only about 165 meters tall, but she was also very good-looking and had an outstanding temperament. She looked like a pretty girl from a humble family, but when she smiled, she gave off a very forthright feeling. She was Oscar's girlfriend, also a food-type soul master. Her name was Shunlingqi. Her martial soul was white beer. It was a rare drink-type martial soul among the food-type soul masters. White beer was a special kind of beer that was extremely strong. At the same time, she also had innate full soul power and was a rare genius in the Imperial Star Luo Academy. But she didn't participate in the Continental Elite competition. The reason why her talent was slightly higher than Oscar's was because the quality of her martial soul was higher. White beer was the most complicated beer to brew, and it was also the most precious type of beer. As a martial soul, it was naturally not simple. If it was just roasted sausages, it was inferior to white beer. But after transforming into Jinhua sausages, it wasn't inferior. Her soul power rank wasn't as high as Oscar's because Oscar had consumed an immortal herb. Shunlingqi's soul power was only about rank 53. She didn't consume an immortal herb, was about the same age as Oscar, and was also a food-type soul master. It was already very exaggerated that she could cultivate to this level. If she had consumed an immortal herb to cultivate, she would definitely be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with Oscar. Damn fatty. Even if Wang Feng is disfigured, he's still more handsome than you. Ning Rongrong coldly snorted. Qin Xiang, you have to be careful. This guy's martial soul is a fire phoenix, the king of all birds. It has a very special attraction and pressure towards your sharp-tailed swift. Don't be fooled by him. The tall and beautiful girl beside Ma Hongjun was called by Qin Xiang. She was a disciple of the Nimble clan and the granddaughter of the clan leader. She was also a genius. But compared to Oscar and the others, there was a big difference. However, his talent was still outstanding among his peers. Now that he was 20 years old, he was not even level 49, but in reality, he was already extremely strong. If he took the immortal herb, he would only be slightly weaker than Ma Hongjun. I don't like fatties. Bai Qinxiang looked at Ma Hongjun with disgust. Even if the martial soul is attractive to me, what does that have to do with me? Seeing this, Ma Hongjun's face fell. Ning Rongrong suddenly laughed and reluctantly said a few good words for Ma Hongjun. Actually, fatties aren't considered fat. If he's possessed by the martial soul, he'll look more burly. Yes, yes, yes. Ma Hongjun looked at Bai Qinxiang, his eyes turning into stars. It couldn't be helped. Looking at the couples around him, he finally saw a suitable one. After holding in for so long, Ma Hongjun felt that he had endured the pain of being single. The Nimble clan's clan leader, Bai He, smiled, and looked at Ma Hongjun with satisfaction. The name and talent of the Shrek's 7 monsters had long been famous in the continent. As the clan leader of the Nimble clan, he naturally knew the talent of the 7. The mysterious captain was the most mysterious and powerful. Next was Tang San, and then the 6 monsters were almost the same. This evil fire phoenix, Ma Hongjun, was actually very suitable for the Nimble clan's martial soul. Tisk, Bai Qinxiang snorted and laughed. Xiao Ao, how can you laugh at your brother like that? Shunling Qi also said softly, sounding like a willow spring breeze. But Oscar's expression changed, and he immediately stood up and said righteously, Actually, Fatty is very charming. He has fought with me all these years, and I don't know how many times he has protected me. He is also very good at taking care of people. The girls in our adventuring team all had a good impression of him. If they could become his girlfriend, it would be a very happy thing. Ma Hongjun was stunned and thought to himself, Xiao Ao is a bastard. It's good enough that he doesn't usually insult me. When will he say good things for me? However, when he looked at Shunling Qi, he immediately understood what was going on. They had met Shunling Qi when they went to the star Luo Empire. Xiao Ao happened to do some brainwashing and brought her over. Xiao Ao is henpecked. Ma Hongjun thought to himself, I can't be like this in the future. At this time, Bai Qinxiang said in surprise, Really? Fatty, come closer and let me have a look. Hearing this, Ma Hongjun was overjoyed. He hurriedly walked over obediently and said modestly, Xiao Ao just likes to randomly praise people. I'm actually not that good. I just know a little more about girls. Just as he said this, Bai Qinxiang sneered and said, You just know a lot about girls? It seems that you know a lot about girls? Ma Hongjun, oh no, I said the wrong thing. Ma Hongjun broke out in a cold sweat. He didn't know much about girls before, but it was all in bed. Bai Qinxiang ignored him. She swung her hair and walked directly into the Tang sect's courtyard. Ma Hongjun quickly chased after her. As he ran, he said, No, Qinxiang, listen to me. Everyone couldn't help but laugh. These brothers of yours are all quite interesting. Shunling Qi laughed a few times and changed the topic. Xiao Ao, do you know a lot about girls? No, I don't know at all. Oscar had learned his lesson and answered without hesitation. The only person I know is you, Ling Qi. However, Shunling Qi looked at him with a faint smile and said, But Rong Rong and Zhu Qing are both members of the 7 Freaks. You don't even know your companions who fought side by side? You've disappointed me. After saying this, Shunling Qi walked in. Oscar, it was too difficult. Oscar quickly chased after her and said loudly, Ling Qi, listen to me. I don't know what you mean. Seeing this, the other 4 sect leaders laughed as well. It's good to be young. Old Master Tai Tan sighed. It's really good, but he also sighed with his hands behind his back. I say, how old are you guys? Niu Gao, the leader of the Yuji clan, said with a smile. You still have the Mudasai here? Sect leader, let's go in first. Tang San smiled and looked at Niu Gao. End of chapter. Chapter 657. This elder, who was about the same size as Grandpa Tai Tan, was a craftsman from the Yuji clan. He was a soul Doa who was over rank 80, and his martial soul was the plate rhinoceros. His defensive power was comparable to that of the elephant armor sect's elephant armor mammoth. However, the Yuji clan was suppressed by the martial soul hall after the clear sky sect sealed off the mountain. Xiao Wu, let's go in. Tang Sen hugged a beautiful girl who seemed to be unconscious. Ning Rongrong looked at the girl, and a tinge of sadness flashed across her eyes. This was Xiao Wu. Although she had not been revived, she had received a gift from the White Crane when Tang San had gathered the Nimble clan. It was an immortal herb that was comparable to a 10,000-year-old 9th grade ginseng king. After using it, she had returned to her original state. However, her soul had not awakened and was still in Tang San's 100,000-year soul ring. Oh yes, Sect Master, does Wang Feng, who you mentioned know how to use a spear? A skinny old man with a sinister expression stood beside Tang San as he spoke. Tang San nodded as he led Xiao Wu into the Tang sect. Brother Feng's martial soul is very special. It can transform into a spear, and it's very powerful. Even a titled Douluo can't heal the wounds it causes. Its attack is very strong, and it might not be inferior to clan leader Yang's soul-breaking spear. Yang Wudi snorted when he heard this. He didn't refute, but he didn't think much of it. Tang Xin didn't say anything when he saw this. Brother Feng hadn't returned yet. Given Yang Wudi's arrogance, he would naturally agree with a few words. They walked into the Tang sect. First, Niu Gao introduced the Tang sect to them. Then, they looked at the various locations of the Tang sect, the various training grounds and rooms. Finally, they sat down in the central meeting hall, and Tang San introduced the current situation of the Tang sect. When they learned that the Tang sect had the support of two other sects, the four clan leaders were shocked. After all, the Blue Lightning Tyrant sect and the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile sect were both famous sects on the continent. They actually supported a newly established Tang sect. After that, Tang San began to officially divide the Tang sect into different divisions, as well as the functions of each division. There were 5 halls in total, 1 for each of the 4 clans, 1 for Ma Hongjun, and 1 for Ning Rongrong. She was in charge of managing the Tang sect's finances and the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile sect. Oscar and Shun Lingqi were in charge of logistics. There will be a titled Douluo joining us in the future. The representative of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect is Bo. Tang San continued. Tang San felt that it was quite troublesome to manage such a large force. In his previous life, he was only an outer sect disciple, let alone a sect leader. However, Tang San was forced by the current situation. Although he felt that it was troublesome, he did not feel that it was strenuous. On the contrary, he was at ease. After 2 lifetimes of training, he was naturally no longer the Tang sect's outer disciple that he was in his previous life. With the addition of a titled law, the clan leaders of the 4 great clans revealed smiles on their faces. Lastly, is our Tang sect's Grand Elder. Tang Sin pondered and said, he hasn't returned yet, but his position is also very high. The Grand Elder's job is to supervise the sect leader and the hall masters of each division. If he is found to have violated the sect's rules, he can choose to abolish the sect leader through a vote of several elders. It was similar to the Elder's Hall of the Martial Spirit Palace. Tang Sin thought that the sect leader could not be the only one in power. There needed to be someone to restrict him. The other 4 clan leaders were slightly silent. The position of Grand Elder was unique in the Tang sect. However, it had to exist. Currently, Wang Feng is our Tang sect's Grand Elder, Tang San continued, but he is not here for the time being. When he returns, I will introduce him to you. Hearing this, the 4 clan leaders frowned slightly, but did not say anything. Actually, you don't have to be so confused. When Tang Sin saw this, he knew what was going on. He smiled and said, a few months ago, Brother Feng stopped the Martial Spirit Palace's operation against the 2 sects and protected them. At the same time, 2 months ago, he defeated the sect leader of the Blue Lightning Tyrant sect, Yu Engine. That's how he gained the support of the Blue Lightning Tyrant sect. His strength is comparable to a titled Douluo. In fact, Tang San felt that the 2 pieces of special metal he would obtain this time could be used to forge a powerful hidden weapon on the Tang sect's hidden weapon ranking. It could also be used to deal with a titled Douluo. However, compared to Brother Feng, Tang San felt that it was more difficult. When the 4 clan leaders heard this, they were stunned. Who was Yu Engine? A rank 96 titled Douluo. He even had a top-tier martial soul like the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon. How could he be defeated? These words came from Tang San's mouth, so they could not be false. Suddenly, the 4 clan leaders looked at each other and no longer had any doubts about this position. After the division and matters were settled, the Tang sect was on the right track. Tang San returned to the Shrek Academy and told the Grandmaster and the other teachers about the Tang sect. He briefly explained what had happened in the past 2 months and Xiao Wu's matter. Seeing that everything was on the right track, the teachers were very pleased. When they saw that Xiao Wu had returned to her human form, Lu Erlong was so happy that she cried. At the same time, he introduced Oscar's girlfriend, Shun Lingqi, to everyone. Everyone was shocked. Move by. Zhuqing plans to return to us after she's done with the things on the other side. Tang San smiled and said, however, Brother Feng's words may have touched her. Mubai plans to ally with the Heaven Do Empire, but it will take some time. Zhuqing plans to support the Tang sect, but there's a lot of resistance. If it doesn't work out, she plans to leave her clan and return to the Shrek's 7 monsters to join the Tang sect. Now, we just have to wait for Brother Feng to come back. The Grand Master and the others nodded. The group chatted for a while. At this time, Douluo hurried in. He seemed to have learned that Tang San had returned. When he saw Tang San, he hurriedly said, "Little monster, you're back. You two haven't come back. I'm worried about you." Douluo said with a serious expression, "The Snow Emperor is about to die. Come with me to the palace to check on the situation. I can't hold on any longer. I can't do anything about the Snow Emperor's poison." Tang San was stunned when he heard that. The others were even more shocked. They didn't know about this. Only Tang San knew the details. Now that he heard this, he could understand a little. Unfortunately, Little Madman isn't here. His Golden Lotus has a strong healing ability. Douluo looked at Tang San. "I used a stalk of snow god grass from the ice fire Yin Yang well to temporarily stabilize the Snow Emperor's mind. However, it didn't work the second time. The Snow Emperor's mind is weak now. The terrifying poison has completely consumed the Snow Emperor's remaining life force. We can only see if you can help." Tang San's expression turned serious. He thought for a moment, then called Yang Wudi, who was also proficient in medicine, and quickly followed Douluo to the palace. The Snow Emperor was related to the imperial family. If anything happened to the Snow Emperor, the situation on the continent would change instantly. Now that the Tang sect was on the right track, they would be swept away by the wind and rain. Thinking of this, the three of them quickly walked to the palace of the Heaven Do Empire. P.S. Please count votes for more chapters. End of chapter. Chapter 658. The three of them entered very smoothly. When they entered the snowy Night Emperor's palace, they were slightly obstructed. However, Tang San had the token given by Xue Qinghe, so he walked in without any obstructions. "Little monsters, did you sense it?" Douluo whispered. "That's a group of soldiers made up of soul masters. If they were ordinary soldiers, even if they had soul power fluctuations, they wouldn't exceed rank 30. However, the team outside is above rank 50. They have completely surpassed the strength of the Imperial Guards in the palace." This meant that they weren't the Imperial Guards at all. Looks like it's Xue Qinghe's faction," Tang San said in a deep voice. "Only the Martial Spirit Temple is capable. In this place, only the Martial Spirit Temple has such strength. This palace is a little strange." Yang Wudi frowned and said, "It's emitting a strange aura. It's too quiet. Why is the Snowy Night Emperor's palace so quiet?" The Snowy Night Emperor's palace was very big and looked even more majestic. There were soldiers standing guard all around, and they were all quite strong. However, other than these soldiers, there was no one else. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded slowly from inside. "I didn't expect that Tang Yin who was studying in Yuxian to be Tang San. Brother Tang, I didn't expect you to change so much after 5 years." The moment the voice sounded, an elegant figure walked out from the palace. It was the Crown Prince, Xue Qinghe. Seeing this Crown Prince, the surrounding soldiers all knelt down. Xue Qinghe was alone and walked over calmly. However, Tang San frowned slightly. "Your Highness, Crown Prince." Tang San bowed slightly to Xue Qinghe. However, Douluo and Yang Wudi didn't care. Their identities were special, so they naturally didn't need to bow to the Crown Prince. "Brother Tang, you came in a hurry today. Forgive me for not being a good host. There are many things going on in the palace today, so I can't split myself," Xue Qinghe said calmly. "If you want to tour the palace, I'll send my sister, Xue Ku, to accompany you. How about that? It just so happens that she has been thinking about you." Seeing this, Tang San and Douluo looked at each other. "That won't be necessary," Tang San said slowly. "I already have a lover, and I don't want to make things difficult for Princess Xueka." I'm here today because I heard that the Snowy Night Emperor is seriously ill. I'm here to see if I can treat him. This is the meager strength of our Shrek Academy." After saying this, Tang Sin suddenly felt that the air seemed to have become heavier. His heart sank. It seemed that Xue Qinghe was indeed up to something. "My father is seriously ill. It's not that I don't want Brother Tang to go in and treat him, but my father's spirit is weak and he can no longer receive any treatment." Xue Qinghe said slowly, "I appreciate Brother Tang's kind intentions, but how about we meet in the side hall?" Tang Sin did not answer. Douluo looked at Xue Qinghe as if trying to see through him. Yang Wudi, on the other hand, looked around. Suddenly, Tang Sin asked, "Your Highness, when did you join the Martial Spirit Palace?" As soon as he said this, the surroundings fell silent. Xue Qinghe's expression changed, and his voice carried a bit of anger. "Brother Tang, why are you accusing me? I'm the Crown Prince of the Heaven Do Empire. When did I join the Martial Spirit Palace?" The weapons in the hands of the surrounding soldiers flashed with cold light, and they stood up and aimed at Tang San. "If not, then why are all the soldiers here from the Martial Spirit Palace?" Tang San said indifferently, "I've seen the commander of the Imperial Guards. Have you forgotten? Now that the Snowy Night Emperor's life is in danger, as the commander, he should be able to protect the Emperor's safety at all times. Why isn't he here?" "Your Highness, you have too many flaws." Tang Sin sneered and said slowly, "These Imperial Guards are Soul Masters around rank 50. Soul Masters of this level are not the strength of the Imperial Guards. Moreover, the high-level Soul Masters of the Imperial family are all cultivating and studying in the Shrek Academy. When I went to the Shrek Academy today, I found that the high-level Soul Masters of the Imperial family did not disappear. Where did these Soul Masters of yours come from? Other than the Martial Spirit Palace, which other force can produce such powerful Soul Masters? Secondly, the person behind the screen behind you should be a very powerful titled Dalu, right?" Tang Sin pointed at the screen behind Xue Qinghe. "Old Poison, do you also feel a very familiar aura?" Douluo nodded seriously and said slowly, "It's the aura of a titled Dalu from the Martial Spirit Palace. I wonder which titled Dalu it is. Who is standing behind you? You're the Crown Prince of the Heaven Do Empire, and you're actually related to a titled Dalu from the Martial Spirit Palace?" Tang San said indifferently, "Do you think that makes sense? Thirdly, from your tone, you seem to have just found out about my identity. Ah, this is interesting. I've returned to the Shrek Academy for some time. I heard that you went to the academy to recruit Wang Feng a few days ago. Logically speaking, you should know that I'm back, right? Why are you pretending not to know? You're the Crown Prince. How can you not know about this? Unless you're hiding something and pretending not to know. There's one more thing. The Crown Prince is the son of the Snowy Night Emperor. Even if you think that there's no hope for us to cure him, you'll still welcome us. At the very least, you'll let us meet the Snowy Night Emperor. But you won't even let us meet the Snowy Night Emperor." Tang Sin finished slowly and looked at Xue Qinghe. At this moment, Xue Qinghe's expression kept changing. Finally, he calmed down and suddenly smiled. As expected of the Thousand Arms Azure Tang San of the Shrek's 7 monsters, you can actually see through this so easily. Amazing, amazing. Behind the screen behind him, Wang Feng sat quietly and watched Qian Rinchua's performance in front of him. He came very early. When Tang San came back, he entered the palace without anyone knowing. However, as they watched Qian Rinchua's performance step by step, Tang San and Douluo, who were extremely suspicious of her, slowly discovered her flaws. This woman was really born to be an award-winning actress. On the other hand, the faces of the surrounding soldiers changed at the same time. They were all from the Martial Spirit Palace. To be precise, they were sent by the Pope Palace. They were only responsible for watching Qian Rinchua. They were also kept in the dark by Qian Rinchua. At this moment, Wang Feng heard Qian Rinchua say again, "Tang San, you're a talent. Talents shouldn't be buried here. What I'm doing is actually to let the Heaven Do Empire know as soon as possible. Isn't that good? As for the Martial Spirit Palace, what does it matter? As long as the Heaven Do Empire can be peaceful and avoid more wars, isn't it better for us to side with the Martial Spirit Palace? You know, the Martial Spirit Palace's recent actions are not peaceful. Once the Martial Spirit Palace really makes a move on the continent, there will be a bloodbath. Won't the Heaven Do Empire be able to avoid wars by submitting to the Martial Spirit Palace? I'm thinking for the countless lives of the Heaven Do Empire. End of chapter. Chapter 659. Furthermore, the Martial Spirit Hall also said that as long as we submit to them, the Heaven Do Empire will still have the ability to govern itself. Isn't this better? You are a talent. I know that you have recently established the Tang sect. I promise that as long as you help me ascend to the throne quickly and unify the Heaven Do Empire, I will definitely let your Tang sect flourish on the continent. Wang Feng was stunned as he listened from behind. What the F***CK? That makes sense. The image of a righteous, benevolent crown prince who had no choice but to submit to the Martial Spirit Hall was displayed vividly in just a few words. Wang Feng felt that it made sense. Outside, Tang Sen was also incomparably shocked. Ridiculous. Tang Sen thought for a while before shaking his head and saying coldly, "Don't you know what the Martial Spirit Hall is like? Furthermore, you don't have to act like you're serving the country and the people. Do you think that a person who dares to usurp the throne can be trusted? To put it bluntly, you don't even have the most basic bottom line. Humans are humans because they have a bottom line. You don't even have a bottom line. You don't deserve to be called a human." After Tang San finished speaking, there seemed to be some mechanism behind him. A fireball shot directly towards the door outside. It was very fast. With a flash of light, it had already exploded outside. It was a signal flare specially made by the Tang sect. "Your Highness, we have already made it clear. You don't have to be so secretive, do you?" Tang Sen looked at the soldiers around him. He didn't seem to care at all. Although the Soul Masters were of high ranks, they had no combat power in front of the old poisonous monster. With the old poisonous monster's poison skills, those who were of lower ranks than him were like reeds blown by the wind. A large number of them fell. Thinking of this, Tang San looked at Xue Qinghe quietly. With the old poisonous monster and Yang Wudi's strength, even two titled Dalu wouldn't be able to do well here. Not to mention one of them. Even a rank 95 transcendent Dalu might not be able to defend against the two of them. One had to know that the current Douluo was already at rank 94, close to rank 95. So what kind of trump card did this Xue Qinghe have that gave her such confidence? Xue Qinghe was silent for a while before he said slowly, "Since that's the case, then don't blame me. Come out." After saying this, a figure walked out from behind the screen. When this figure walked out, Tang Sen instantly felt as if he was suffocating. Pope Tiff in white. Douluo cried out involuntarily. The man before him was dressed in a white robe, and his face was completely covered by a mask. Not even his eyes could be seen. It was the Pope Tiff in white, who had been declared dead by the Martial Spirit Palace. Did he come back to life? Tang Sen was also confused. How is this possible? Back in the Great Stardow Forest, you were in such a perilous situation. How are you still alive, Pope Tiff? Even the Martial Spirit Palace had declared him dead. Could it be that all this was fake? The more Tang Sen thought about it, the gloomier his face became. If that was the case, the people of the Martial Spirit Palace were too cunning. They even used this method to spread the news that Pope Tiff the White was dead. He's Pope Tiff in white. The soul-breaking spear in Yang Wudi's hand flashed as he looked at the white-robed figure in front of him with a serious expression. A few months ago, the name of Pope Tiff in white had shaken the entire continent. It seems like this Xue Qinghe is not an ordinary person. Douluo looked at Pope Tiff in white with a gloomy gaze. Who is qualified to be protected by Pope Tiff in white? What kind of respected status is that? Do it. After saying this, Douluo suddenly let out a fierce roar. 9 soul rings appeared on his body, and he revealed his enormous martial spirit true body. The Jade Unicorn Snake Emperor swallowed and spat out a terrifying light, and it directly sprayed a poisonous fog in all directions. With the current Jade Unicorn Snake Emperor's poison, the soldiers and soul masters in the surrounding almost instantly had their skin turn black the moment they came into contact with it. The poisonous gas entered their bodies and would quickly corrode their entire body. At the side, Yang Wudi held the soul-breaking spear and directly attacked Popetiff in white. "Hold them back," Tang San said in a deep voice. "As long as they receive my signal flare, teacher and sect master Ning will quickly rush over. At that time, even if he is Popetiff in white, he won't be able to escape." After saying that, Tang San stood in place and directly released two domains, Blue-Silver Domain and Massacre Domain. It had different degrees of influence and enhancement on Yang Wudi and Douluo. The power of a domain was called a domain because it was controllable within a range. It was a side effect to the enemy, but a positive effect to the allies. It was obvious that the Blue-Silver Domain could let Douluo's poisonous fog spread farther, pervasive, and difficult to guard against. Under the wave of the Blue-Silver grass, all the gas would quickly spread and corrode the soul masters outside. The Massacre Domain could affect people's minds, and for Yang Wudi, it was naturally an excellent enhancement. His soul-breaking spear had an extremely strong, murderous aura, and in the Massacre Domain, it could unleash even more power. Most importantly, Yang Wudi's 8 soul skills, except for the tool Soul True Body, were all related to enhancement. On the contrary, Yang Wudi didn't have any obvious active offensive soul skills, but each of his spear had the attack power of a titled Dalu. In Tang San's knowledge, Yang Wudi's soul-breaking spear was only slightly inferior to the sword Douluo in terms of offensive power. It had already reached an extremely terrifying level. At this moment, Yang Wudi's spear was like a cold star, directly attacking white Popetiff. Wang Feng frowned slightly, and a sharp blade condensed into a sword in his hand. There was no other way. White Popetiff had always used a sword. If he wanted to play himself, he could only use a sword. The whistling wind exploded. Holding the pitch-black longsword, Wang Feng's figure flashed and disappeared like a fleeting shadow. This was the first time Wang Feng had seen Yang Wudi. This spear attack was indeed very strong. But that was it. If he was only a titled Dalu with a tool soul, he might not be able to compete with him at all. But he wasn't. He was strong in all aspects. No, to be more precise, White Popetiff was strong in all aspects. From strength to speed, from reaction to perception. White Popetiff's strength could draw with many veteran titled Dalu a few months ago. Now that they had passed through the Great Stardow Forest, it wasn't too much for White Popetiff's strength to increase, right? Therefore, Wang Feng's sword slashed sideways, and the 7 Annihilation sword plays sword-splitting Southern Mountain condensed into a heaven-splitting sword light. He slashed sideways and directly sent Yang Wudi flying. Fortunately, Yang Wudi condensed the soul-killing spear in front of his chest at the critical moment and barely blocked the sword light. But because of this, he was directly sent flying and vomited blood. So strong, Tang San sucked in a breath of cold air. White Popetiff seems to have become stronger again. Did he also have a fortuitous encounter in the Great Stardow Forest? End of chapter. Chapter 660. Tang San knew that the white-clothed Popetiff had secretly learned the Sword Dalu's 7-kill swordplay when he visited the 7-treasure Glazed Tile sect. Seeing this, Tang San no longer hesitated. He knew that if he couldn't delay the other party at this time, or even let the other party kill him, it would be over. Old Poison Mist! Tang San shouted fiercely. Douluo roared, and his 8th soul ring suddenly bloomed. Countless green lights scattered in all directions. Time seemed to have frozen. Douluo didn't get close, as if he had experience dealing with a white-clothed Popetiff. Instead, he released this time freeze from afar. The white-clothed Popetiff's figure suddenly condensed. It was at this moment that Tang San's countless Blue-Silver Emperor dynasty condensed a long spear and directly used the Blue-Silver Overlord spear. He didn't use any control-type soul skills. This was because he knew that with his soul power rank, it was impossible for him to control the other party. Only Douluo's time freeze had a chance to control the other party. No matter how strong his blue-silver emperor was, it was impossible for it to control such a terrifying opponent at this rank. Therefore, he naturally used a powerful attack to attack the other party. God-killing stab. Within the domain, Tang Xin seemed to have turned into a white light and attacked the white-clothed Popetiff. At the same time, Yang Wudi, who had just been sent flying, suddenly enlarged the soul-breaking spear in his hand and attacked the white-clothed Popetiff. This move was the soul true body. It seemed that Yang Wudi had become much smaller, like a child holding an oversized spear. But its power was absolutely terrifying. The two spears were like two long dragons rushing towards Wang Feng. One was Tang San's blue-silver overlord spear, and the other was Yang Wudi's soul-breaking spear. This solidification included Qian Renxue. Her soul power rank was actually very high. Seeing that the white-clothed Popetiff was about to be attacked, Qian Renxue snorted coldly, and several golden lights bloomed from his body. 6 pairs of silhouettes appeared behind him. Countless rays of golden light suddenly spread out and directly broke through Tang San's 2 domains. Tang San and Yang Wudi's bodies shook. They were directly affected by the golden light, and their attacks slowed down by 30%. It was also because of this slight delay that the white-clothed Pope recovered. Douluo's time freeze didn't have a strong effect on him. It only lasted for a few seconds. "Domain, be careful," Douluo shouted. This endless golden light was Qian Renxue's angelic realm. 7 soul rings lit up on his body. Qian Renxue's soul power undulations had already reached rank 79, close to rank 80. Swoosh! Wang Feng reacted and casually swung his sword to break the two's attacks. 2 figures were sent flying. Qian Renxue frowned slightly. She could feel that with Wang Feng's strength, he was obviously holding back. The other party might not be able to sense it, but on second thought, she was the one who asked Wang Feng to pretend to be Popetiff. Naturally, he couldn't really be as ruthless as White Popetiff. After all, 2 of the 3 people on the other side were related to him. Wait a little longer. I have to expose my identity completely. This way, there won't be any more possibilities for me in the future. Qian Renxue thought in her heart. Don't kill them. She smiled faintly. When a person is about to die, maybe his choice will be different. Wang Feng. Wang Feng roughly knew what Qian Renxue was thinking. Obviously, he wanted to use this opportunity to recruit a wave of people and then really expose his identity. He stood in place and didn't speak. After 2 strikes, Tang San and Yang Wudi both suffered different degrees of injuries. But because of Qian Renxue's command, he held back some of his strength. Tang San, you said that I have no principles or bottom line. Qian Renxue smiled. But do you know my true identity? I'm not the real Xue Qinghe, so I don't need to follow the bottom line you mentioned. We're just working for 2 different sides. If he's really my father, I naturally can't kill him. Think about what I said just now. I control the Heaven Do Empire just to hurt the people of the Empire. At this point, Qian Renxue's body shook. Rays of light slowly gathered around her and then retreated. Her original appearance was revealed. Wang Feng thought for a moment. This should be the second time he saw Qian Renxue's appearance. Her golden hair fluttered in the wind. Her appearance was beautiful. Her facial features were exquisite, like the mixed blood in Wang Feng's memory. Her figure was tall and exquisite, indescribably beautiful. Her temperament was cold and carried the dignity of a superior. This was somewhat similar to BB Dawn, but not as good as BB Dawn. Her cold eyes carried a sense of majesty, but it was also the most attractive. My name is Qian Renxue. Qian Renxue said coldly and arrogantly. Think about it now. If you surrender to me, I can still spare your lives. Wang Feng was speechless. Finally, her identity was completely exposed. Wang Feng actually felt that Qian Renxue was extremely relaxed at this moment. Of course, Tang San and the others couldn't feel it. At this moment, they were more shocked. Okay, Tang San's eyes flashed. As long as you agree to one condition, I'll surrender to you. Qian Renxue was stunned. She was just saying some polite words to expose her identity and then leave safely. Tang San didn't look like the kind of person who would surrender to others. After thinking about it, Qian Renshua knew that Tang San was just trying to stall for time. In order to show that her identity was exposed, Qian Renshua said slowly, "What condition?" "His Majesty the Pope's order," Tang San said. Hearing this, Qian Renshua's eyes turned cold. She glanced at Tang San, calculated the time, and said in a cold and ruthless voice, "Kill them. Leave Tang San to me. You deal with the other two." Seeing this, Wang Fengxin's heart skipped a beat. It seemed that Qian Renshua still had some feelings for her mother after all. Otherwise, she wouldn't be a little angry. Wang Fengxin shook his head. Both mother and daughter had the same temperament. Although they seemed ruthless, if they really wanted to kill each other, they would probably jump out to protect each other. Then, the group of people started fighting again. But logically speaking, with Wang Feng's current strength, although he couldn't reveal too much, he had no problem fighting the old poison and Yang Wudi. Although Yang Wudi's Soul Breaker Spear was very strong, Wang Feng was no different from the real Pope Diff when he activated the power of the blood traces. He had reached the peak in all aspects. Yang Wudi's spear couldn't hit him at all. Moreover, Yang Wudi didn't have that kind of lock-on skill. His mind power was far inferior to Wang Feng's, so he couldn't lock on a Wang Feng at all. Every spear attack would only waste his soul power. The old poison had also become a lot stronger, but Wang Feng's 7-kill swordsmanship was enough to beat him up. However, he naturally couldn't kill him. Qian Renshua would definitely understand. After all, he was pretending to be the Pope. So soon, the two of them were at a disadvantage. It was obvious that they were going to lose. Wang Feng even had the leisure to watch the battle between Tang San and Qian Renshua. End of chapter. Chapter 661. What surprised Wang Feng was that Tang San had created a special soul skill on his own. It seemed to be a combination of his Ghost Shadow Perplexing Track and the Wild Splitting Windhammer technique. The biggest weakness of the Wild Splitting Windhammer technique was that the user had to stand in place and continuously hammer. Only then would the power become stronger and stronger, but it was easy to be interrupted. After combining it with the Ghost Shadow Perplexing Track, Tang San was able to change his position with every hammer strike and dodge the enemy's attack. While it was quite strong, it perfectly weakened the weakness of the Wild Splitting Windhammer technique. However, Wang Feng felt that Qian Renshua should be giving him face and did not kill Tang San. Otherwise, with Tang San's injured state just now, even if Tang San used this special soul skill, he would soon be defeated by Qian Renshua and even die. Qian Renshua's martial soul was the 6-winged angel, and his soul power level was 14 ranks higher than Tang San's. And this was under the condition that Tang San had a 100,000-year soul ring. Even if Tang San dodged 3 attacks with his golden body, the golden body could only be used a limited number of times. Wang Feng was very clear that Qian Renshua was indeed giving him face by holding back. Her strength was still above Tang San's. However, Qian Renshua still underestimated Tang San's self-created soul skill. When the last hammer strike trembled in the air, the terrifying force directly exploded. The power brought about by the 81 hammer strikes was extremely abnormal. Even if Qian Renshua understood the Wild Splitting Windhammer technique, he had never experienced such a terrifying blow. Her domain was directly shattered. Countless golden lights spread out directly. The huge force of the hammer came crashing down on Qian Renshua in an instant. In Wang Feng's opinion, Tang San's current strength was actually above the original work, and this hammer strike seemed to be fused with something else. Wang Feng looked at the black halo that flashed by the hammer light and was shocked. "It's poison. Xiao San, this fellow is really sinister." It was unknown when, but the clear sky hammer had been infused with poisonous fog. In addition to the poisonous fog that Douluo had just unleashed, every strike of Tang San's hammer had condensed a portion of the poison. After 81 strikes, the clear sky hammer had condensed a terrifying amount of poison. Even if Qian Renshue didn't die, he would be severely injured. At the crucial moment, Wang Feng sent Douluo flying with a kick and sent Yang Wudi flying with his sword. It was like Wang Feng teleported, arriving in front of Qian Renshue. Then, he gathered his qi and charged at the descending clear sky hammer like a dragon. The long sword formed by the sharp blades was directly shattered by the force of the hammer. This made Wang Feng frown slightly. When he saw this, Wang Feng tossed his sword aside and smashed his fist directly towards the clear sky hammer. Bang! A muffled groan was heard. The energy was like a meteorite crashing into the sea, exploding in midair. The beams of the room were sent flying, and countless pillars in the hall began to crack under the force of the energy. Clang! Following this, Wang Feng took a few steps back. His arm was slightly swollen, and the clear sky hammer was sent flying, embedding itself into a jade pillar. Tang San's face was extremely pale. He stood on the spot and was on the verge of collapsing. He looked at the white-clothed Popediff with a horrified expression. With this person's strength, he actually managed to take on my clear sky hammer with his physical body and arm? Although it was a newly created soul skill, and its usage was still a little immature, and its power wasn't maximized, it was still able to be used in the end. You? How are you? Are you okay? Qian Renshue walked in front of Wang Feng and looked at his red and swollen arm. His expression turned cold, and his tone was filled with killing intent. I'll go and kill him. She felt that she was really angry now. She looked at Tang San and the others. Now, the three of them had lost their ability to fight. Let's retreat first, Wang Feng whispered. I'm only slightly injured. It's not a big deal. Their people should be here soon. Now is the time to retreat. Little Three's wild, splitting wind hammer technique was quite powerful. It could actually injure his body slightly. It was not simple. Qian Renshue was silent. Outside the palace, there were shouts and screams. According to the original plan, it was indeed time to retreat. After all, her identity was completely exposed, and she had achieved her goal. Humph! Qian Renshue looked at Tang San and the others. Then, he quickly flew up to the roof beam with the white-clothed Popediff and disappeared in midair. Tang San was a little dazed. The white-clothed Popediff is still alive. This is really not good news, Tang San murmured. The other two were also deeply shocked, and their hearts were extremely heavy. Qian Renshue and Wang Feng quickly destroyed the palace. She had many arrangements in the palace, but they were all soul masters from the Heaven Do Empire. Some of them were transferred from the Martial Spirit Temple. However, in order to prevent her from acting recklessly, Bibi Dawn did not transfer too many soul masters to her. Most of the soul masters from the Martial Spirit Temple listened to her, but they mostly observed her. In addition, there was the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile sect near Heaven Do City. Qian Renshue and Wang Feng flew all the way out of Heaven Do City. In order to prevent pursuers, Qian Renshue did not stop. After flying for several hours, Qian Renshue and Wang Feng finally stopped in the forest outside the city after consuming most of their soul power. His last hammer seemed to contain an extremely strong poison. Qian Renshue looked at Wang Feng and said in a low voice, "Take off your clothes and let me see. If the poison hasn't entered your body, there should be a way to save you." Wang Feng coughed a few times and said, "The poison is useless to me. All right, let's stop here. They don't know if we have an ambush, so they won't dare to chase after us. Almost, this plan could be considered a perfect success." Qian Renshue fell silent. Indeed, this plan could be considered a perfect end, but there was some danger at the last moment. If she had taken that hammer, she would have been in danger. Fortunately, Wang Feng took the attack head-on. From the looks of it, he did not seem to be injured at all. "What are you going to do next?" Qian Renshue did not leave. Instead, he suddenly asked, "The swordsmanship you used just now, you learned it from the sword law of the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile sect, right? Is he willing to impart his secret skill to you?" "I saved the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile sect. Why can't he impart his secret skill to me?" Wang Feng asked. Qian Renshue fell silent again. Then, Are you going to join the Tang sect and continue to oppose the martial spirit temple? Qian Rinxue asked again. This question was not easy to answer. Wang Fengxin said, what am I going to do next? As for opposing the martial spirit temple, I won't go that far. As long as I can destroy your mother's legacy, the martial spirit temple has nothing to do with me. Of course, Wang Feng would not tell Qian Rinxue this. But at this moment, multiple auras suddenly came from afar. Qian Rinxue still wanted to ask something, but her entire body suddenly exploded. She shouted loudly, let's go. But it was obvious that Qian Rinxue's reaction was too late. Multiple streaks of light descended from the sky. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. 6 figures. They were the 6 titled Douluo of the martial spirit temple. Young master, His Majesty sent a message. You were too anxious. The snake's spear, Douluo, shook his head helplessly. You didn't have to be so anxious. You exposed your identity. The plan is really messed up now. Qian Rinxue looked at the 6 titled Douluo and trembled. He thought, I'm done for. Wang Feng is done for. He was pretending to be the white-clothed Pope Tiff. 6 titled Douluo are really here now? Since when did she care so much about me? Wang Feng was also a little shocked. It was obvious that Bibi Dan had discovered Qian Rinxue's plan and was worried. She immediately sent 6 titled Douluo over. Mother and daughter still care about each other. Wang Fengxin shook his head. Are they still related by blood? No matter how much they hated each other, they still cared about each other. Qian Rinxue walked in front of Wang Feng and thought hard about how to get Wang Feng out of this situation. Is there anything else? Qian Rinxue said, if there's nothing else, I'm fine now. You can leave now. However, the 6 titled Douluo looked at Wang Feng and seemed to know something. They quickly went down on one knee and said respectfully, Greetings, Pope Tiff. Greetings, Your Holiness the Pope. His Holiness the Pope has already informed her of the plan. This trip is precisely for me to wait for you to return to the Pope's palace. After they finished speaking, Qian Rinxue was stunned. What's going on? P.S. Due to the internet delay, this chapter is a little late. Please vote. Mua in a chapter. Chapter 662. Qian Rinxue's mind was blank for a moment. The reason for this was very simple. The development of the situation was completely beyond Qian Rinxue's expectations. Qian Rinxue did not expect the appearance of 6 titled Douluo. This proved that Bibi Dan had quickly realized the change in her situation. This was expected because her plan could not have been completely hidden from Bibi Dan. However, Qian Rinxue did not expect Bibi Dan to send so many titled Douluo and so quickly. After hearing the words of these 6 titled Douluo, Qian Rinxue's mind went blank for a moment. However, an idea flashed through her mind, and she seemed to have understood something. Okay, at this moment, Wang Feng's expression was indifferent, and his tone was extremely calm. I understand. Let me and her rest for a while. You guys wait for a moment and check if there are any titled Douluo chasing after us. His tone was very calm, as if he was the real white-clothed Pope Tiff. There was even a hint of arrogance in his voice, and the 6 titled Douluo scanned their surroundings respectfully. However, they were not very far away. At this moment, Qian Rinxue walked over. After a moment of silence, she lowered her voice and said, You have to find a chance to leave the pontiff's palace. She is indeed very calculative. I'm afraid that white-clothed Pope Tiff is not dead. She used the failure of her plan to announce to the entire continent that white-clothed Pope Tiff is dead, and that he is actually hiding in the dark. From what these 6 Douluo said, I'm afraid that she was the only one who knew this secret. Now that these 6 titled Douluo saw you and saw that you were with me, they might have mistaken you for the real white-clothed Pope Tiff. At this point, Qian Rinxue said in a low voice, But you can't act forever. If you expose yourself a little, you will be in danger. If you go to the pontiff's palace, and the real white-clothed Pope Tiff appears, you. Wang Feng. Wang Feng looked at Qian Rinxue, but he did not realize it. She actually thought that the 6 titled Douluo mistook me for the real white-clothed Pope Tiff. Well, from Qian Rinchue's perspective, she would indeed think so. After all, I am with her now. She naturally thought that the six-titled Douluo saw me with her, so they thought that I was white-clothed Pope Tiff. Wang Feng's heart skipped a beat. He pretended not to know and asked, "Then how do we leave? These six-titled Douluo are nearby. There's no way to leave. I can only go along with the act." Right, did I act like the Pope in white just now? Qian Rinchue's Douluo's glues Qian Rinchue's. Chu, at this moment, Qian Rinchue's, he was S's. He was actually able to portray the aloof and cold demeanor of the white-clothed Pope so vividly. Just like a real person. This guy, no wonder he has so many identities. Feng Yuxiu, Thanos, 91 Kai. No wonder he can act so well. Do you think I look like him? Wang Feng continued to ask. About 80 to 90%. Qian Rinxue whispered. But you don't have the abilities of white-clothed Pope Tiff. Just his aura is useless. It's too easy to be exposed. No, it's obvious from their words that she wants to summon white-clothed Pope Tiff, who is on a secret mission, back. White-clothed Pope Tiff's whereabouts are mysterious. These six titled Douluo don't know, or you would have been exposed. She must have sent other titled Douluo to summon white-clothed Pope Tiff. If you return to the Pontiff's palace, you will be exposed no matter what. Qian Rinxue's guess was right. It was impossible for these six titled Douluo to know white-clothed Pope Tiff's whereabouts. Bibidan's plan was told to them before they set off. They were to come to Heaven-Do City to protect Qian Rinxue and then find white-clothed Pope Tiff. Even Bibidan didn't know white-clothed Pope Tiff's exact whereabouts. Bibidan said that if white-clothed Pope Tiff went to Heaven-Do City, it was best not to let her know Wang Feng's exact location. If even Bibidan could hide from her, then no one else could know white-clothed Pope Tiff's whereabouts and hiding. This made it easier to carry out the plan. This was a kind of extreme trust. Before they came, Bibidan had reminded them. Therefore, Wang Feng didn't contact Bibidan for the past 2 months. He only contacted Qian Rinxue. Logically speaking, if this white-clothed Pope Tiff was really someone else in disguise, these six titled wouldn't be able to recognize him as long as he acted well. This was because they didn't know where white-clothed Pope Tiff was. Now that they saw white-clothed Pope Tiff protecting their young master, they naturally thought that he was the real white-clothed Pope Tiff. Bibidan only told them that white-clothed Pope Tiff wasn't really dead. He was just carrying out a secret mission in Heaven-Do City and asked him to return to the Martial Spear Hall. In other words, these six titled didn't necessarily know that white-clothed Pope Tiff was the real white-clothed Pope Tiff and that Qian Rinxue had asked him to impersonate him. Although, white-clothed Pope Tiff was Wang Feng's impersonation. This was also why Qian Rinxue thought this way. It had to be said that Qian Rinxue was very quick to deduce all this with just a few words. "What do you have in mind?" Wang Feng asked. "How about this? You stay with me for the next 2 days." Qian Rinxue pondered for a moment and said, "Try your best to avoid contact with these six titled Dalu. The more you interact with them, the more you'll be exposed." Wang Feng, "That makes sense. In their eyes, you saved me after all, so I'm grateful to you. Therefore, it's only right that you stay with me. They won't have any objections." Qian Rinxue continued, "Then, I'll find an opportunity to make you leave." "That seems to make sense." Wang Feng frowned and said, "But don't forget that white-clothed Pope Tiff is an ascetic, solitary powerhouse. He doesn't get close to women and stays intimately with them. White-clothed Pope Tiff won't accept that." Qian Rinxue, "That makes sense." Qian Rinxue was still very familiar with this white-clothed Pope. Although she had only met him once, she had learned about this number 2 figure of the martial spirit palace through various channels. He cultivated with all kinds of emotions and auras, but he couldn't sense any emotions himself. He was an emotionless person. He was extremely talented, had terrifying abilities, and was very strong. "How about this? I'll pretend to have a good impression of you, like you. I'll pester white-clothed Pope Tiff. This way, they won't have anything to say." Qian Rinxue's tone fluctuated slightly, but she still said it calmly. "That won't do. You're the young master of the martial spirit palace. If you do that, won't your image be ruined? Wang Feng quickly shook her head and said, as the young master of the martial spirit palace, you're noble, dignified, elegant, and indifferent. How can you pester him? This doesn't match your image and temperament. They might even suspect that you're someone else pretending to be you, or even feel that it's even stranger. Qin Rinxue frowned. That makes sense. End of chapter. Chapter 663. So that's what you think of me? Qin Rinxue suddenly glanced at Wang Feng. Did you do that on purpose in the Great Stardow Forest? Did you beat me up because you didn't like me? You must have felt good when you beat me up, right? After all, how could you beat up a noble, dignified, elegant, and indifferent person like me? Wang Feng, sister, what are you talking about? That was a long time ago. Qin Rinxue was talking about when Wang Feng first awakened the soul-slaying spear and awakened the dark angel martial soul in the Great Stardow Forest. Then, he met the Qin Rinxue. Then, some stories happened. But what Qin Rinxue said was really damn accurate. Wang Feng did have a good time beating him up. After all, he always knew Qin Rinxue's identity. He didn't expect Qin Rinxue to remember it so clearly and still remember it in her heart. These women really hold grudges. Wang Fengxin was a little embarrassed. Of course, he couldn't admit it. How is this possible? Wang Feng was surprised. You were the crown prince Shueqing back then. Compared to you now, it's like heaven and earth. Where did the noble, dignified, elegant, and indifferent come from? I can't even recognize you. How can I have such thoughts? Don't slander me. I thought you were an enemy. The sharp light in Qin Rinxue's eyes faded a little, but he frowned and said, You don't know? When you were 6 years old, I saw you and gave you a token of mine. Then, in the Great Soul Arena in Soto City, you touched. I used my martial soul at that time. How can you not recognize it? The angel martial soul is unique. How can you not recognize it? Men like to quibble. Qin Rinxue looked at Wang Feng coldly, as if he had seen through him. Wang Feng, sister, don't go too far. However, Qin Rinxue's aura was really strong. She was so much better than Ning Rongrong. Even Zhu Zhuqing couldn't compare. Thinking of this, Wang Feng suddenly felt that the Qin Rinxue in front of him was not that fragrant. Rongrong is still the best. She's beautiful, gentle, gullible, and easy to coax. Zhuqing is obedient and sensible. Wang Fengxin suddenly had this thought, and then he scolded himself. Wang Feng, you stinking scumbag, what are you thinking? Do you still have that token? Qin Rinxue suddenly asked. Wang Feng thought for a moment before retrieving it from his soul tool. Qin Rinxue furrowed his brow when he saw this, but he still nodded. The coldness in his eyes lessened a little. Seems like you've been keeping it, Qin Rinxue asked calmly. Why don't you throw it away? It's such a pity to throw it away. I can sell it for money when the time comes. Wang Feng shook his head and said, Now that I know who you are, I'll keep it for now. Maybe it'll be useful to me. Qin Rinxue was silent for a moment before saying, Since you know it'll be useful, don't keep it in your soul tool. Keep it with you so that you won't have a chance to use it if you forget about it. That makes sense. I'll listen to you. Wang Feng placed it in his arms. At this moment, the 6 titled law seemed to have finished their patrol and quickly returned. Qin Rinxue quickly walked to Wang Feng's side and leaned in closer. Their arms touched, and they seemed a little intimate. Let's go. You guys take the front. Poke Tiff, and I will take the back. If there's nothing important, don't disturb us. I have something important to discuss with Poke Tiff. Qin Rinxue glanced to the 6 of them. The 6 of them were stunned. They looked at the 2 of them with strange expressions. However, they seemed to have thought of something and didn't say anything. They quickly flew towards the pontiff's palace. Old Ghost, I think the young master has gotten together with Pope Tiff. In midair, the Jew, Douluo, whispered. The young master was sent to the Heaven Do Empire's palace at such a young age. Her plan failed, and she almost got into an accident. If Lord Pope Tiff didn't appear in time to save her, the situation wouldn't be good. Will it be because of this? What does it have to do with you? Why do you care so much? The Gue Douluo chuckled. Given the young master's strength and pride, no one is worthy of her. Isn't it good that she's together with Pope Tiff? Can't you tell what the pontiff is thinking? He wants to tie His Majesty Pope Tiff to the martial soul hall. The Jew Douluo nodded. This old ghost is a 10,000-year-old single dog. I didn't expect him to think of this. However, given Lord Pope Tiff's personality, I don't think it'll work out. The Jew Douluo shook his head. It wasn't just the two of them. The other titled Douluo were also thinking the same thing. The six of them opened up a path in front, while Qian Rinxue and Wang Feng followed behind. Are you really coming? Wang Feng looked at Qian Rinxue, who was walking side by side with him, and whispered, "Why don't we forget about it? I don't think they'll be suspicious. With my acting skills, there won't be any problems." Qian Rinxue looked at Wang Feng and said calmly, "Do you think I want to do this? Isn't it so that you can find a chance to sneak away? Do you think I'll really like you? Of course not. I'm so strong and so outstanding. You're not worthy of me," Wang Feng said. Qian Rinxue glared at Wang Feng. At that moment, Qian Rinxue suddenly thought of the arrogant Feng Yuxiu in the cave. This guy really hasn't changed at all. Qian Rinxue was silent for a moment and said calmly, "You're strong and outstanding, but it doesn't matter. I don't need to be worthy of you. My ideal man is a strong man like the white-robed Pope Tiff, not you. Otherwise, why do you think I asked you to pretend to be him?" Wang Feng looked at Qian Rinxue and thought, "Who are you kidding? You've only seen the white-robed Pope Tiff once. Since when did he become your ideal man?" "I didn't know that your ideal man is someone who doesn't even have feelings." Wang Feng shook his head and said, "I don't know if it's true or not." Qian Rinxue's lips curled up. "Do you care? Whether it's true or not, it has nothing to do with you." "Of course it does. If it's true, then it's too difficult for me." Wang Feng sighed. Seeing that Wang Feng didn't answer, Qian Rinxue seemed to be a little relieved, and her cold cheeks also became a little gentler. The two of them walked side by side, but Qian Rinxue didn't act recklessly and didn't do anything out of line in order to maintain her image in the hearts of the people in the Martial Spirit Palace. The two of them walked a little closer together, side by side. But for the other six titled Douluo, they vaguely understood something and didn't disturb the two of them. The plan was the same as Qian Rinxue's, and there were no accidents. In a city not far from the Martial Spirit City, that night, Qian Rinxue and Pope Tiff were in the same big hotel room on the pretext of discussing some matters. "Leave here quietly tonight," Qian Rinxue said in a deep voice. "They haven't come to talk to you for the past 2 days, which means they've tacitly agreed. Tonight is the best chance. If you don't leave, you'll go to the Pope's palace tomorrow. She won't let you leave so easily this time. You can hide from these 6 titled Douluo, but you can't hide from her. Leave when it's late at night." End of chapter. That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.